Today, we're here to do some film criticism, movie breakdown, and analysis of Terry and Diane's story from the 2007 movie, Why Did I Get Married?
Written and directed by Tyler Perry, Why Did I Get Married tells the story of four couples as they traverse the highs and lows of marriages that are complicated by secrets and lies. Please note that in this video series on Why Did I Get Married, we've decided to create a separate video for each of the couples so that we can fully examine what happens in detail without the time constraints. Be sure to check out our breakdowns of the other couples linked in the description. In this video, we'll focus on Terry and Diane's relationship.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
I can't wait to talk about this movie. But first, we want to thank all of the supporters who've helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App or click the thanks button on this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia or become a channel member by clicking the join button to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber.
This is a book based on a study I did with my friends.
So Terry and Diane's story actually starts with the character Patricia, played by Janet Jackson, of course, explaining about her book that she's written about relationships and so on and so forth. And she's talking about this couples retreat that she has with three other couples plus her and her husband, Gavin, and where they ask themselves the question, why did I get married? And they go on this couples retreat each year.
There are four couples, and while we're on that vacation, we ask ourselves, why did I get married?
And so she talks about communication and she introduces them, saying that they know all about communication.
Take Terry and Diane, for instance. They know how to communicate.
And so this is our first look at Terry and Diane, played by none other than Tyler Perry and Sharon Leal as his wife.
Email it to me.
Diane, you're not checking emails when you get to the house. We're on vacation.
Patricia starts off by talking about how Terry and Diane know how to communicate all too well. And then we see the scene of Terry and Diane, and they're just arguing.
You've been in this truck for hours and you've been on the phone. Can you get off the phone, please, and spend some time with your husband?
Because, you know, Diane has this BlackBerry in 2007, which communicates that, oh, she's a businesswoman. You know, you got a BlackBerry, you handling business, right? So it's portraying her as this very busy business lady. We have Terry, who is sort of a role reversal. He's taking on the stereotypes of a woman, right? Where he is arguing about the time that the wife is spending with work and all this, and he just wants some attention.
And yeah, so they're driving to this retreat, and we do find out a little bit about Terry and Diane. First of all, Terry is a pediatrician, and that's like one of the first things that he's introduced as when the scene starts.
I'm a pediatrician, medical degree. Hello.
Then we see Diane, she's all worried about whether or not, you know, their child is going to be okay because they've left their child at home while they go on this vacation/retreat.
You know, maybe we shouldn't have left Kenya at home. She's just getting over that cold.
Baby, I keep telling you, she's fine.
And so it's not long before they start arguing about the fact that she is working. She's all on her BlackBerry taking calls and stuff. She's working on her vacation. And so what she has said was like, hey, we got this long ride and I thought I would get some work done. And Terry is like, get off the phone, spend some time with your husband. And then he basically had chosen to drive. So they're coming from possibly Atlanta all the way to Colorado. So that's a long drive. He wants to spend time with her. I guess he thought they'd be talking the whole way. And Diane has decided to be working, right?
The reason we're in the truck for hours is because I'm trying to spend some time with my wife.
This is the whole reason why he chose to drive. And so then Diane's like, oh, you know, here's your control issues, Terry.
You and your control issues.
Control. Diane, don't start.
Who's keeping the kid and how old is the kid?
I don't know exactly how old the kid is, but I mean, they go every year. So like, why is this a new concern?
Yeah, because it's about recovering from a cold, really a cold. So I'm thinking like it must be very young.
No.
Like it doesn't make, and who are you keeping the kid with?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody responsible, like whatever.
And then as a wife of a pediatrician, she thinks that being outside in the cold causes a cold.
Yeah, you're the same pediatrician who said it was okay for her to play soccer on the coldest day of the year.
I don't know. These little things just always make me laugh, but it is typical. Like, so I do think this is realistic because this is the type of stuff people say, right? You're going out in that cold, you're going to catch a
Yeah,
cold,
but
Yeah.
when your husband is a pediatrician and he talked about how that became a debate, well, she should just hear him if he says that it
yeah.
doesn't cause a cold, but maybe he didn't because it's Tyler Perry the doctor.
Well, and I just think that she should have been deferring to him about whatever the medical things are because he is a doctor. She ain't a doctor.
Yeah.
In the same way, she actually is an attorney. They don't exactly explain why she's so busy. At this point, you get a few little clues in the
Yeah.
conversation, but
So
she's
it's-
actually an attorney.
It's
So
Terry and Diane Huxtable.
basically. And so they should, leave the respective things to each of them as experts in their own areas, right? If it's legal, then, defer to what Diane says. And if it's medical, especially as a pediatrician and you have a child and you're concerned about their health, you should just defer to Terry about that. Like, why is this even an issue? Then Diane is trying to make excuses for why she's working. And she's all like, we both work 12-hour days. And he's like, nah, you work 12-hour days.
We both work 12-hour days, you know that?
No. You work 12 hours a day. I'm home by 5.
That he basically works a more normal type of schedule.
Emails coming in. You got the phone ringing all the time. I can't get any time with you.
And then he actually questions her motherhood.
You're doing these drive-by meetings with our daughter.
Hey, that is not fair. I am a good mother.
Just points to the fact that he thinks that her priorities are in the wrong place.
Your priorities are in the wrong place. That's all I'm saying to you, baby.
And even while he's expressing this, as they're supposedly these great communicators, she gets back on her BlackBerry and starts, sending texts or get ready to get on the phone.
He's probably playing Snake.
From back in the day.
Diane, we're talking to you picking up the phone.
Terry is like, are you listening to me? And she said, I hear you. He said, but are you listening to me? And I do think that is like kind of an important thing when you're supposed to be communicating.
Are you listening to me?
I hear you.
Yeah, but are you listening?
She's just tuning him out, but he seems like a nag also. Like the stereotypical roles of this nagging wife is like reversed here. And we see Terry playing the nagging wife. But
Tyler Perry cast himself as Terry. I think that he tries to be like the most reasonable or the best character, right? In all of these, the one with the most sense in all the time when he casts himself.
Mm-hmm.
So is he saying that this is like him, right?
I don't know, or either that, or he's trying to say that there are men like this, and so don't typecast men into being people who just want to be workaholics when they're successful.
Of all the flaws that we know from this movie already, from all the characters, what flaws does this character have?
Well, we about to see. For one, I can see him as being like a nag. He's annoying.
I think it's supposed to be portrayed as he's right, though, because she's
I agree.
spending too much time.
That's what Tyler Perry wants us to think.
Yeah. So he doesn't have any flaws.
But another thing that it points to this whole scene is that these are the challenges of the working woman, right? These are the challenges of the working mother. You're going to be questioned about whether or not, you are successful enough. Are you doing well enough at your job? Because we already know that, women are not valued as much in the workplace, especially not when it comes to take home pay. So she's this attorney. She's trying to, make her way in presumably in this law firm. And then in addition to that, she's got to be the great upstanding mother who spends time with her family. Then she's got to also be the wife, the dutiful wife, right? But she's a career woman too. And so this is kind of the challenge, I think, for a lot of women who are professional women on how am I like the top in each one of these categories that I'm being graded on. So I think that's another thing that we see, going right into this situation, which is a little bit different, I feel like, than the dynamics that we saw, for instance, with Mike and SHEILA, who in the film don't have children, and different than what we saw with Angela and Marcus, who do have children in the movie. Well, they, have a child together, and then he has a child with his baby mama. But we don't see her career questioned as far as her ability to be good at, owning her hair care line, owning her shop, plus being a good mother at the same time. It's never questioned, but with Diane, it is.
Wow, the brochure didn't do this place justice.
How you guys doing? Welcome to Lake Leland.
So they pull up to where the retreat is going to take place, and it's this beautiful vacation home up in the Colorado mountains, and they meet none other than Sheriff Troy.
Troy, please call me Troy.
Hey, I'm Terry.
Pleasure.
This is my wife,
Terry.
Diane.
Nice to meet you both.
How you doing?
And he's like, welcome to Lake Leland and everything. And here are your keys and everything. I got everything ready. You're going to have to chop some wood because I chopped some already, but there's going to be this huge snowstorm.
Plenty of wood for you already chopped up out back, but we're expecting a huge snowstorm tonight, so you may want to chop some more.
But funny thing he says is that the huge snowstorm will be over by morning.
It should be over by morning. It gets pretty thick up here.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the heads up, man.
And I'm like, what huge snowstorm and its effects are over by the morning? I didn't.
Yeah, there's just so much in this scene. So she said that the brochure didn't do this place justice. So it's big enough to have brochures and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like a destination. But Sheriff Troy is the owner, and then he got to chop the wood. And like, come on,
Well, I don't know that that's like so completely unrealistic, right? Because I mean, it sort of is like as if, I don't know, maybe it's kind of like right before the era of the popularity of the Airbnbs, right? So he is renting it out
printing out
himself.
brochures that's reaching across the country.
Look, I don't know. Maybe it was online.
Online, bro. Yeah.
Maybe it was like an online brochure, or maybe, he's in with the Bureau of Travel in the little town or county or whatever.
Or the state,
and,
yeah.
And it's just like one of the destinations you could go to. But nonetheless, I mean, it does look beautiful there. And he seems very nice and very friendly. What I will say is interesting, and y'all tell me, because some of y'all in the comments in previous videos we've done on this movie knew a little bit about Colorado. Are there a lot of black people in Colorado? Because I was like, wow, okay, so you get there, the sheriff happens to be a black dude who owns this place. How realistic is that?
I know at least two people who I've known who moved there.
Who moved there, okay.
So that's at least two.
Yeah, so I don't know. But, that was just the thought I had.
But yeah, another thing was Sheriff Troy is talking about, I thought there were more of you.
I thought there were more of you.
Oh, there are. They're going to be here within the next few hours.
Oh, good. Then they'll beat the storm.
Yeah, why would they all show up together, too? Come on, y'all.
I mean,
but,
maybe they're all coming from the same place. You would think they would just all fly, but they all chose to come different,
but it
separately.
wouldn't be the same flight necessarily
True.
because people have different lives. But the way they looked at each other, it still looked like, oh, this is about to be a scary movie.
You said that in the last one.
Yeah, it's very weird to me.
Yep. And by the way, if you guys want to hear more about Sheriff Troy, you should check out our 2 videos that we did on SHEILA's story, essentially with SHEILA and Mike, and SHEILA and Sheriff Troy. And those will be linked in the description, so that the whole playlist for this movie, all the other videos we've done will be linked in the description in case you didn't catch that. But for the real ones, we know y'all have already seen it, but in case you're just binge watching at a later date, you need to check those videos out.
Diane. Hey, Diane,
So next we see them inside of the cabin. Looks like a pretty nice place. It's got an upstairs and a downstairs, and it's fully furnished with like cabin-like furniture. Everything is like wood. Wood and kind of like this whole country cabin sort of decor. And he's looking for Diane, and he's like, where are you? Terry's looking for her. And he goes upstairs and he sees that she's fallen asleep working on her bed. Now, mind you, it's kind of like she was implying that she wasn't going to be working, but she's fallen asleep with her laptop and, just work crap all over the bed and whatnot.
Yeah. I think they're supposed to communicate that there's a problem there, that she went to sleep, but it was a long trip, and she sleep. That's the first thing I would do. Like after a long trip, I just want to go to sleep,
Just
and
want to
then
go
we
lay
can do
down
whatever.
for a second. Yeah, get a little rest, because that's a really, really long, drive, hours and hours. But the other part is maybe she's a workaholic.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
So she fell asleep, and then he's looking at that, and then he sees that her BlackBerry is ringing, and he answers it.
Bruh.
And then it's Monica, her assistant.
Monica, listen, do me a favor. Don't call this week. We're on vacation, okay?
And he's like, yeah, Monica, we on vacation. Don't call this week. And he hangs up on Monica like he just basically is like, yeah, don't call this week.
I'm
And she
telling
must
you
have
not
said
to
something
call.
back. I'm telling you, but I'm telling you not to call this week. And then he's like, click, and hangs up on Monica.
Well, I understand all that. But I'm saying to you, I'm telling you not to call, okay?
What did you...
Why is he answering her phone?
That part.
And then on top of that, you're answering her call, and then basically, as people would say, I guess being controlling, because you're changing her life and her taking away her autonomy behind her back. Like, that's just crazy, bro.
So she had just said in a previous scene, like, oh, here you go with your controlling issues. And will you ask what are some of the character flaws in Terry? Well, to me, this is overstepping his bounds. He is controlling, and you messing with her job and her money.
Yeah.
And like, how dare you answer her phone when it's clear it's a work call? Like, you see on the screen that it's Monica calling, and you like, I'm going to intervene here and tell her not to call, because you're trying to make her not work. But the reality is she's doing what she wants to do, and she's going to do that. And if you want her not to accept calls, that's a conversation you need to have with her. So as the great communicators, according to Patricia, I don't really know about that.
Yeah. And I bet they haven't talked about her work, right? Because he's just so against it that you don't know what's going on with her job. So you doing this, it could be some big thing coming down, and then she needs to get it done. And you just like, no, don't call, and trying to cut off communication, which could probably just lose her a job and possibly her career. If you're at the level that they're going to show us that she's at, that who else is going to want to hire you once they find out why you were let go from this previous company in a small industry with people at those heights.
And you feel totally justified, Terry, in doing this, which I think is also just like extra points on your wrongness. And then after you do it, you're not like, oh, let's communicate and have this conversation. Yeah, your phone was ringing while I came in and you had fallen asleep working. Baby, I think you work too much. And I went on ahead and I told Monica not to call this week. I hope that's okay. He didn't say nothing. So like, when is she going to find out that now she's not receiving communications that she's expecting to receive about whatever work project she's got going on while she's on vacation? He don't care.
Hey, how you doing, huh?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you, Patricia.
Gavin and Patricia arrive, and Patricia gets on my nerves because Terry says that Diane is upstairs sleeping with an attitude. And then Patricia like, no, can't have that. Got to get her up. What?
Where's Diane?
Upstairs sleeping.
Oh, no. Can't have that. Gotta get her up.
Girl, if you don't shut up, like
Everybody ain't even there. Like, come on, man.
Oh man, wait till we do Patricia. And if you're watching a later date, you probably can check, and it's already, the video will be up on Patricia and Gavin. But yeah, she's very annoying. Very annoying. The cracks are starting to show. Patricia and Gavin show up. He didn't have any company, which I guess I understand, because now you're supposed to be on vacation. She's tuckered herself out to the point that she's asleep. You chose not to lay down and take a quick nap before other people arrive. So you're sitting there by yourself, upset. Terry is.
He should have had a BlackBerry.
Or just play some games on your phone, player.
She's sleeping or she working? Sleeping and working, man. You know what she's doing.
Then we see Gavin and Terry go and sit in like a, little sitting area, and they're just kind of talking amongst each other because Patricia's gone upstairs so that she can wake up Diane. Terry congratulates Gavin on this city contract. So it's funny because, you're not really congratulating your wife about her hard work and everything like that, but he's like, oh, it's so great that you got this city contract because Gavin's an architect and you got it just by yourself, so you don't even have to share it. How wonderful, and all of this and that, right? And then he talks about, lets us know that they were all college friends. And isn't it crazy how, we're all doing what we said we would do?
Trisha's a best-selling author, man. I'm proud of us. I think we did all right.
Diane's a top litigator at her firm.
Diane's top litigator at her firm. You, top architect, right?
I'm a pediatrician with my own private practice.
I mean, look at me. Pediatrician, doing well, private practice.
Patricia's a best-selling author. And Gavin is this, architect that is successful. They didn't mention Marcus or Mike or
Sheila.
Sheila or
So maybe only
Angela.
those four went to college together.
No, I don't think no, because there's another point where Angela definitely was in school with them because she was a chemist. Patricia talks about that. So I still think they all went to college together, but this might be kind of even more of a line of demarcation maybe between class stuff that we've talked about in the other videos. We do find out he's a pediatrician with his own private practice, which says to me that his lifestyle, the lifestyle that would be dictated by his job, number one, he's the boss. He decides what days and hours he's going to work.
Yeah.
So he's able to have a much more normal life than an attorney who is trying to work her way up to things within a law firm where she's not the boss.
Yeah. Terry, he said, look at all of us doing, what we said we would do. But then Gavin is like, no, not quite, because you're supposed to have 4 kids.
But if my memory serves me correctly, you should have about 4 kids by now.
By now. So that's not quite right.
Terry is like, well, you got to talk to Diane about that.
You got to talk to her about that.
So now we get even another monkey wrench in the plans. They have one kid, but Diane,
It's a dig at her, right? Because he could have been like, well, she's not ready to have kids. She don't want to have kids. Or we tried, we can't have kids. We didn't have kids and we tried, or her career is doing this and we are waiting.
Yeah.
Right?
No
he just
united
puts
front.
it off on her.
Yeah.
Talk to her.
But it is the truth, right? And he's telling his friend the truth. He's being honest about how he feels, which is that it is her fault that they don't have more kids.
Yeah, but just the way you said it is, he could say she doesn't want to have the kids.
Oh, I
right
agree.
Now, versus you got to talk to her about that. That's 2 different tones.
I agree.
You are still the same pain in the butt that you were when we were roommates.
Patricia is up in the room with Diane, waking her up and being annoying or whatever. But we do find out that Patricia and Diane were college roommates because Diane is like, you still the same pain in the butt that you were back when we were roommates in college. But we do find out something else in this scene. We find out that one of the reasons that Diane is working so hard on the case that she's working on is that she's defending a 16-year-old on trial for capital murder.
I'm defending a 16-year-old on trial for capital murder. Jeez.
Yeah, and a pediatrician is trying to ensure that the child is sent to prison and possibly executed.
Maybe not that extreme.
Well, if you just
it's like you don't care.
Well, you're trying to send them. If you just she's working these cases and she's a criminal defense attorney, clearly, and you don't call here, we on vacation or whatnot, and then it results in the kid going up to be offed by the state, then that's you in effect. That's what you're doing.
Well, I'm trying to be objective because that is my instinct.
I am completely objective. That's what's happening.
My instinct is to say, I completely 100% agree with you, which I still do actually. But the other side, I just want to play devil's advocate for a minute and say, okay, but what about the fact that there are always going to be important cases? Every case you maybe take is the case you think is the most critical at the time, but you still have to have time for your family. You still have to make time to do other things.
Capital murder versus a bank fraud, I think it's 2 different things.
But maybe she doesn't take those cases.
She only takes capital murder cases.
Maybe. I mean, some attorneys do, right? They, every case is a murder case but
every murder case ain't a capital murder case.
That's true. How reasonable is it that Terry is kind of forget your job when your job is really the kind that is critical to people's lives?
And you don't know this? Or you just well, it's vacation, so it don't, but that would mean that your values aren't aligned.
But see, Terry has the luxury of being able to forget everything on vacation, right? Terry is like, all right, I got this other pediatrician to cover all my calls. After hours, Terry is not answering phones for sick kids. He has an after-hour call service, I'm sure. You know what I mean? His nurse is probably, as we will see later, his nurse is available probably to take calls or handle, any of the more minor issues that may come up. So he gets to without having to have anything on his conscience, just totally check out of work mentally and physically. Whereas Diane doesn't have that luxury. And I feel like that's something that he continuously doesn't take into account when he's being demanding and controlling.
Yeah.
I breathed in and out again.
Yeah.
Marcus and Angela arrive, and of course, they're always arguing. And they come in and everybody's saying their hellos and everything like that. And Terry kind of plays this sort of peacekeeper, calming sort of effect. Hey, everybody, you know, just trying to distract from any type of conflict.
You know I got 5 brothers just waiting.
I'm like, I'm scared of them.
You say that now.
Which is funny because, you know, when it comes to his wife, it seems like he's willing to go head toe to toe, you know, with the conflict thing.
He's trying to be the perfect character.
Yeah, and it's like he's supposed to be intuitive to like the issues that are going on between the other couples, right?
Y'all all right?
Hell yeah, we're fine.
Man, we good, know what I'm saying?
Marcus and Angela, and they're arguing and stuff. And when, you know, Marcus says that they're fine, you know, he has this look on his face, kind of like, I know you're not fine. And he even ends that scene by saying, you know, it's both of you guys contributing to the problems between the two of you.
So, Marcus, y'all still at it, huh?
Yeah, she ain't never gonna change.
Y'all ain't never gonna change.
And then in a previous scene, when Gavin was mentioning, hey, guy, you're supposed to have 4 kids now. The other thing that he realizes is that he has to be sensitive because Gavin and Patricia have lost a child.
Hey, you supposed to have at least 2. Oh, man, I'm sorry about that.
That's all good.
He realizes like, I got to tread lightly on that. And he doesn't really want to go into why they don't have more kids at this moment because they've lost a child. So he, like you said, is supposed to be perfect.
How do you slip up on that?
Well, I think you really don't, but it was to advance the plot, right? It was to let the audience know that they had lost this child and that he's sensitive to that.
It indicates something about this character, right? This is always in my mind if something like this happened, right? So it's not going to be like, oh, I done slipped up and said, you supposed to have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Wait, what, bruh?
But he catches himself,
Like,
right?
no,
the fact that he catches himself is supposed to mean a positive thing about this character.
I guess it can happen, but still, to me, it just seems like, how does it happen?
But back to the character flaws of Terry, you know, he's supposed to be intuitive to all of these other people in these other couples, but he can't see what's going on with his own wife. And maybe that is just art imitating life.
He does see it. Maybe. It is from the perspective of the writer, right? The writer could think that they're writing a perfect character and it not be.
Yeah.
Maybe he just don't see that they don't communicate, but maybe he don't see that he's not communicating, but he does see a problem with his wife that he, you know, perceptualizes.
Well, what I think happens too is like when you're like the writer, the director, and all of these things, and you get to choose which character you want to be, you know, you get to be, you know, which character is going to be, you don't want to be the hated character. You want to be like the nice guy who the audience will love and think is great, right? So I think that's why he selected to play Terry. But at the same time, I think that even what he thinks is great about the Terry, he just doesn't want to make their problems seem too terrible and too
it's
big.
Just like when he plays Medea, right? Medea has all the answers and is the moral authority of the Medea movies.
He's the male Medea.
That's a barbershop, man. Man, it's good.
Terry and Marcus are chopping the wood that Sheriff Troy said they would have to chop. Terry is trying to be a mentor to his friends, right? He is the male Patricia.
Yeah.
And he's telling Marcus, oh, it looked like it's getting worse. You know, the arguments between Marcus and Angela.
Man, I gotta come see my goddaughter.
But leave her at home if y'all gonna be arguing like that.
Then he confides into Marcus and like, me and Diane ain't spending no time together.
At least you get to argue, man. Me and Diane ain't spend no time together.
You know, and then he looks all sad, say, we ain't have sex in months.
We ain't had sex in months.
From the way the movie is going, it's, oh, she's just so busy and she's falling asleep from work. So you're to think that it's because, you know, she's working so hard. And it's like the typical movie stuff where the man is working so hard and stuff that they can't be together because he's just so tired from work and stuff. And I think that's what they're trying to show.
Except that if it was the roles were reversed, like they would still be having sex. You know, probably. I will say they did have a little comic relief here because he's chopping the wood and, you know, Marcus is like, I was wondering why you were so strong because he ain't had no sex, right?
I was wondering why you so strong.
But he's complaining to his friends, his male friends, his male complaints, things that he knows and feels like that they would understand. And I guess this is like normal, because we saw just in the previous scene, Angela, is complaining about her relationship woes. So, when they branch off and they have their, separate gender conversations, then, they're talking about their problems,
Yeah.
with their
But
spouses.
I don't want nobody to tell me I'm getting tired of begging her to spend some time with me.
Yeah.
Bruh, shut up. But maybe I'm just not being sensitive enough.
So your guy friend says this, you're out there and you're just hanging out and you're at the cabin, and your guy friend says to you, I want to spend time, and she ain't spending time together. And then says, we ain't had sex in months.
Yeah.
What is the guy supposed to say to that? Is this a thing guys would say to each other? And I know I'm always asking that, but
Probably, but
I thought he said the sex comment though to emphasize how bad it was, right?
Yeah. It's just very odd. Why has it been months?
I mean, because I look at that in a way, kind of like the flip side of how you might see a wife be like, and he always wants sex,
Yeah, or
right? The
what if the
typical
wife
complaints?
If the woman said it, then it'd be like, well, he's cheating.
Yeah, you were lying about that. He don't want sex. Oh,
Yeah, so who is she getting it from? Yeah, I don't know about this one. I don't know about this ever coming up.
Like, what is it supposed to mean? Is it supposed to mean just that she's busy with her career or implying something?
He just basically reversed the roles and it don't work. But maybe that's how Tyler Perry feels inside.
Could be. But
it doesn't fall into the typical gender roles, I guess.
But we do find out a little bit of extra information. Find out that Kenya, who are Diane and Terry's daughter, her godparents are Angela and Marcus, because we hear Marcus say that he's got to see his goddaughter or whatever. And then Terry's all like, well, don't bring Angela if y'all gonna be arguing like y'all argue. And so they don't live in the same place. Because I was, the confusing thing to me is like, do these couples live in the same town or do they not? Which I think is extremely freaking weird, because you wouldn't be like, don't bring her. So this could be a plot hole. Later in the film, you do see Diane and Angela show up at Patricia's job.
Yeah.
So like, this is a weird thing happening here. And y'all, this might just be a Tyler Perry plot hole with him not paying attention when he's writing everything and doing everything himself.
But who do you pick as godparents for your first child? Would it be the people you're closest to?
Yeah, and you pick the person that, the whole deal is supposed to be that if something happens to you, this is who's going to take care of you.
And I'm thinking like they're so close and she was your roommate, Why wouldn't it be that person?
I don't know. So maybe the two of them are closer, right? Maybe Terry and Marcus are closer. And maybe Marcus is the godfather and Angela is not the godmother.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's possible.
Part of what happens in between all of these couples, it's important to know, are they coming from the same city? And so we default assume that they all live in the same city, but then there are clues or things in the dialogue that make you feel like they don't. Like, why haven't you seen each other in forever if y'all all live in the same city? So we got to go out of town to see each other? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I don't know. And I know everybody's got busy lives, but you mean to tell me y'all don't have lunch someday?
Especially since the way Terry is. I can understand Diane not seeing anybody, but Terry seemed like the clingy type on everybody.
Yeah.
So he gonna be like, I'm off work. I'm going by to see you because I miss you, man. I love you.
Terry is the clingy type. But maybe there are male clingy friends too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
He's like, let's have a spa day.
I don't know why he didn't get with Patricia, bro.
Terry and Patricia. Okay, two doctors together. Although they're not both, physicians, but hey, two doctors nonetheless.
I need you to give me a shot. I've been burning for 3 days.
Marcus confides into his mentor, Terry, and says, I've been burning. He needs something. And Terry's like, yeah, I'll call my nurse and she gonna send some burn medication.
I'll call my nurse and have overnight something up here to us.
But Terry never passes up the opportunity to give a lecture to his friends, much like Patricia. And it is true.
No.
He's saying true things, but he's like, man, she's the one who burned your wife, Angela's that the one that burned you? And
he did pass up the opportunity. It was Marcus who was like, you ain't gonna ask, because he wanted it. He wanted to say what happened.
And maybe he just knows that's how he does.
So you're not going to ask?
But, you're right. You're right. He's like, well, since you ask, and of course, this is the opportunity he's given, and he does give the lecture, and he's like, basically, you burning your wife, you're wrong.
But you could have gave it to her. And you better pray to God that it's something a shot can take care of.
You should have wrapped it up, and you passing diseases and all this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, if you're going to step out on your wife, what's wrong with using some protection? See, that's what I don't get.
Tyler Perry can't help to turn on the Medea voice when he's giving his advice too. It's just become second nature to him, I think.
It's kind of funny though, because he does remind me of Medea when he's doing the lecture thing. Y'all go to the comments. Does Tyler Perry feel like Medea when he's like, just dropping all of these message types of pieces of advice that he gives?
You man enough to lay there and get it. Be man enough to tell your wife.
But you know what it is he plays in a way this, or wants to play for this character, like this wise old man type of archetype where he's wise, he has all the answers and everything. But the difference with the wise old man archetype is that they don't make mistakes. Like, they don't have faults. You don't really see the faults in those characters, right?
Right. And what you see in good movies, that type of character, they don't just come out and say it, right? Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous how they do it, but they start to tell a story. One time there was this guy, or one time I did it. Everything is in the form of a story.
Yeah. Because they don't want to directly attack the person who they're trying, to whom they're trying to teach the lesson, right? So he's like, one of my patients came in and this, that, or the other happened and thus and so. Like that might be a more appropriate way to create the character that it seemed that Tyler Perry wanted to create in Terry. But, Terry is just like, the lecturing type. So he's just going to be like, this is where you went wrong, and you wrong. Now, you do need friends who will tell you that you're wrong and will tell you straight out. But,
as a character in a movie, it's going to be different. They're going to show up differently.
And this is where I think the art of character development is important. But yeah. So he agrees to give the shot. He's like, all right, I'm going to take care of you, and I'll have my nurse just order something. He didn't have no additional questions. Like, oh, you having discharge? What color is it? None of the other medical questions you think they have. But then again, maybe you just can glaze over that in the movie.
Yeah, you do need more information, especially as a physician. You're going to ask some more questions.
Is that Mike? Yeah, but that ain't SHEILA either.
So Mike shows up with Trina, and Marcus says, is that Mike? And then Terry responds, yeah, but that ain't SHEILA he with. Bruh, Mike was out of line, man.
SHEILA invited Trina when she found out that there was an extra bedroom.
Any friend of Sheila's a friend of ours, right?
So what ensues next to me is like one of the most comical scenes in the movie and completely ridiculous. And if you would like more roasting of Trina, be sure to check out the video that we did on SHEILA and Mike, because we just really go in on Trina in that video. But anyway, Mike and Trina show up and they talk about how SHEILA is not with them because SHEILA is driving.
Where is SHEILA?
Oh, I made her drive. We flew.
Diane is somebody who just comes out and straight out asks Mike, like, where is SHEILA?
Look, I wasn't paying for another seat for her big ass. Y'all know she fat as hell.
And then, that's when she finds out that SHEILA's driving.
I can't even believe, did he just say that she's driving?
She's like, do you have any idea how long that drive is?
Do you have any idea how long that drive is?
Well, she says that, which is kind of funny because she knows, because she's just endured it with her husband. And she didn't want to drive.
If they're from the same place.
If they're from the same place, yes.
Yeah. But Diane just basically says, oh, I'm going to call her.
Yeah.
Right? That's her first thought.
Is to go try to check on her.
Okay, I'm going to call her. This is ridiculous.
And then Terry also tries to come up with solutions. Terry's suggesting like, hey, why don't you just have her get a flight later or something like that? It's going to be late. The storm is coming, and all of that.
Yeah.
Mike, man, come on. The weather's supposed to be bad tonight. Maybe you should call her and tell her to get a flight tomorrow.
So they both establish themselves as these kind of caring people who want to be there for their friends and want to check on their friends and so on and so forth.
Right. So then they begin to go inside, and Marcus attempts to grab Trina's bag to help her carry a bag inside. Angela comes, slap the bag out his hand, and is like, no, she could carry it. And Terry carries the bag.
She can carry it.
Terry is the perfect man, right? He
He's a
don't cheat.
gentleman.
He has no flaws, right? So it's nothing if he's carrying it because he's not going to try to do anything with Trina.
He doesn't even see other women like that. He just,
He's kind of like you said, the women were
oh,
women
yeah,
in
yeah.
a previous video on this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, when he's married, he doesn't see other women. Like, I mean, he actually cannot see the beauty in them in that same way. He only is focused on his mate. That is the wonderful, perfect man that Terry is in this movie, or is supposed to
Yeah.
be. But
So
he's highly controlled.
They talked about how pretty Trina is, but is she?
Yeah, I mean, I think Trina's supposed to be a, very beautiful woman. And Trina comes off as, to me, younger than all of them.
Ah, that may be something.
Somebody in the comments said something in one of the previous videos that we did on Waiting to Exhale. By the way, if you didn't catch that series, be sure to watch it. We have it linked in the description. In the video that we did about Savannah, they were talking about, the scene where Savannah walks up and all of these women are at the table with their men husbands, whatever they are to them, and how they all give Savannah the stank eye. So Savannah arrives at this New Year's Eve's party and she's walking in. Clearly she's by herself. And when you look at Whitney Houston, she just was a beautiful woman. And she walks in, heads are turning. And so finally she sees an empty seat and she's like, and some people are sitting there. Is anybody sitting here? And all the men at the table are like, no, sit down, have a seat with us and whatever.
Excuse me, is anyone sitting here?
No, please join us.
And then the women are looking at her, with the stank eye, right? Because, she's a beautiful woman and she sits down and she clearly has the attention of all of the men at the table. And the comment that the person made was like, there are a lot of people or a lot of women, when they see a woman who is younger or prettier or thinner than them, then they automatically kind of hate the woman or give the stank eye or, get funky with her, presumably because they're intimidated or something. But, Trina does appear to be younger than them. Y'all go to the comments. Tell me, do you think she looks younger? I think she's supposed to be a little bit younger. She's a very attractive woman. I guess that is supposed to present this natural intimidation maybe that women are supposed to have if a beautiful woman comes around. We do have Angela actually saying, well, she's pretty and she's, so Angela's the one who comes out directly and says it, but Diane does agree. I just think that it's interesting. The idea is that you're concerned that somebody's going to steal your man. And
Well-
I don't know that that's really the concern.
Well, I think it's stealing to women, right? Because, if he does this, he doesn't love me, or all that other stuff that's attached to cheating.
Yeah, but see, I
Right.
think that when you can step back and when you've had a long-term successful relationship, one of the things that you realize is that it ain't about stealing and cheating. What it's about is that you don't want your spouse to get, quote, in trouble, right? So in the same way as you protect each other's back. And so when you see some person coming around that could lead to trouble, right? Even if it's not about romantic trouble like Trina, she's a pretty lady flittering about these men. What if it was somebody who came around and it was a guy friend, and the guy friend was like, man, I got this great deal for you. And it's a stupid pyramid scheme or something, right? Maybe because it's your husband's friend, he might not be able to see it as well, but you can see it. And so you step in to try to protect you're protecting each other. And to me, part of the protection that women help to provide for their husbands is to realize when somebody is on some shenanigans. Women know women better than men do. Unbeknownst, newsflash. Okay, so as a woman, when you see a woman behaving and acting in certain ways, you've seen that before. The same way as a guy who sees guys doing whatever tactics guys do, that's from the playbook of certain people. And so the point is, the guy may not be as aware that this is going on. Part of the protection you provide is to be like, hey, he may or may not be aware that, you have intervened. Much in the same way as you may intervene in some way with, if it wasn't a woman and an issue of that. That's my point. My point is, it's not just you're on this basic, because to me, that's so basic. Oh, is he going to be cheating? Oh, he's looking at another woman. Oh, he's jealous. Look, the bottom line is some people are going to look at people of the opposite sex and enjoy how they look and find them and think they fine. Some people are not. And it's not solely gender based. And you'll drive yourself crazy worrying about things like that. But the more important thing is what really is a threat or a harm to the other person. It's not as stupid and as basic as I'm worried about somebody stealing my man. But people who haven't been in long-term relationships that have been successful, they may not be completely aware of all the ingredients that it requires to have a successful relationship. That's what I'm saying. They're just things you might not know. The same way as if I don't do other things, I may not know what it takes. I'm not saying this to judge or to be a smart aleck, but I'm saying it to just because it's a fact. Much in the way that, like in previous videos, I've asked about side chicks and, well, if a side chick is trying to, get money up off of a man or do whatever, what is the play? Like, how are they playing this? I don't have a whole lot of friends who played that role or who shared those particular tactics with me, so I'm not aware of it. The women who go out there and do it and live that type of lifestyle would know that. That's all I'm saying. You don't always know what you don't know.
We did have Trina say that I'm a friend of Mike and SHEILA, right? Which is kind of weird that it would be put that way. But then Diane is like, well, a friend of SHEILA is a friend of ours.
Yep.
Why did she take it as being a friend of SHEILA when she says she's a friend of both of them, but then they show up without SHEILA together?
Well, that's the weirdness that is how Trina presented herself in this situation.
Sheila, give us a call when you get this message. Straight to voicemail.
In the next scene, we have Trina, who is entertaining the men. The women are all trying to figure out what the deal is. Why isn't SHEILA there? What's going on with Mike and Trina? Like, what is the situation?
A friend of hers. How come we're just meeting her?
Right?
And they agree that they would have all driven with her if they were really her friend. And then you got Patricia talking about, hey, let's not, put too much judgment off on Trina.
Let's find out what's going on and make sure we don't pass too much judgment on her.
And Diane is just kind of there and, agreeing that this seems a little weird.
Agreed? Agreed.
No.
Yeah, well, she agrees not to pass judgment on her when you see everything that's there. But then Angela is like, no, I don't agree to that. And Patricia and Diane are looking at Angela as if something is wrong with her because she won't agree to not pass judgment on what you actually see is taking place, where your supposed friend is driving up a mountain while her husband is here with some other woman who claims to be both of their friends.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a situation where it seems that Patricia and Diane are often at odds with Angela as far as outvoting her on, whether they should be transparent or not about how they feel about the situation.
We want to drive off this bridge.
And I'll drink to that.
You drink to now.
In this terrible storm that they've been expecting at this cabin, all the couples are outside, but SHEILA's not there. But the other couples, Trina and Mike. But Angela and Marcus are arguing as usual.
Well, maybe one day I'll drink to you getting a damn job.
Come on, Angela, I have a job.
Marcus, you work for me.
And then Patricia jumps in. Hey, y'all need to remember what I taught y'all to do.
Angela, Marcus, there is such a thing as called fighting fair. You guys know this. We learned this on the last vacation.
And then here comes Terry talking about it worked for me and Diane.
You may not want to hear it, but you should listen because it works for me and Diane.
When we just saw your communication issues and what happened in the car.
I know, your whack communication. And then we cannot forget Diane, who also chimed in telling Angela, you're hitting below the belt, with the stuff she was saying about Marcus not really having a job outside of her employing him at her salon.
You know what, Angela, that's below the belt. Come on.
I just think it's like some mess that they cannot really objectively see their communication issues in their own marriage. And they're just like fronting, right? They're kind of like Gavin and Patricia 2.0, where they're trying to act like everything is so perfect. And I do feel like this is interesting because Angela is very outspoken, but at least she's transparent.
Yeah, but Marcus it didn't work for him and Diane because he heard about you talking about we ain't have sex in a month and I gotta beg her to spend some time with me. He getting tired of that. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just very strange. But I think these situations happen all the time where everybody know everybody is BS and just go along.
But why? Like, come on. It's
Come on,
annoying.
think about it. So let's just say, take the workplace.
Yeah.
You have the people who you're talking about all the problems with, and then you get in the meeting and be like, I want to thank, we did such a great job, and everybody
Great
came
job,
together.
team.
Yeah, and everybody know it's foolishness because y'all all been talking to each other about how this is horrible.
You have ruined this week for all of us.
So the women go inside and the men are still outside talking and everything. And Terry tells Mike, you ruined this week for all of us. Gavin asks, who is she? Who is Trina?
Who is this girl?
And Mike responds, oh, she's sexy, isn't she?
She's sexy, ain't she?
We have Marcus who's like, you hitting that?
Are you hitting that?
Mike says he pleads the fifth.
I plead the fifth. I ain't saying nothing.
But then Terry is like,
And you bring up, whoa, you bring up in here, man.
Terry responds like he don't even know what's going on. So that's two of these cats who act like they didn't know he was cheating with this lady.
Or like it was a great possibility, whatever. But
Well,
I'm just
that ain't how they responded. They responded like they didn't know what was going on. It was like, what? You're doing this?
I can't believe you. Maybe they thought he was just so bold to bring her there, but then wasn't actually sleeping with her.
Bruh. And left his wife to drive up the mountain? Or wherever. Not even up the mountain, just states away. But I still want to know what his storm is.
The storm ain't came yet.
The storm only happens on SHEILA. It's like just a cloud over SHEILA.
She had a storm over her life, literally and figuratively. So then we see Terry / Medea start getting messy, right? Because he hears Marcus like, oh, Mike been the guy since college.
Mike has been the man since college, boy.
I guess Mike has been pulling this type of mess since college. And then he goes, well, how you going to admire him when you got your situation going on?
How you going to admire him when you got your situation?
Okay, why are you being messy, Terry Medea? Why?
Yeah, exactly. But I think this kind of foreshadows the dinner scene, right? Where they just all start busting each other out, But I think it's different amongst the male group of friends, right? I think that's kind of different. And it's not necessarily a secret. It just hasn't been exposed to the group yet.
Well, so I want to bring up something because somebody had posted recently on social media and was like, oh, I'm tired of y'all couples because y'all couples, if one person in the couple knows, then both people know, right? And so I think about it in this situation where clearly we find out the couples share information. And I do think that it's generally maybe probably true about a lot of stuff, right? So isn't it plausible that everybody eventually is going to know all of their business, but they just all kind of act like they don't know that, even though they're well aware of the stuff going on in each other's marriages, whether they found out through the man or the woman in that couple? You know what I'm saying?
No, because I don't think the men tell the same as women, which is why when Mike brought out everything, they didn't know that the men, they didn't know because the men didn't tell them that this stuff was going on. So everybody at the table is all surprised.
Go to the comments.
Some of the stuff he's saying.
Guys and women, do you think that the men don't tell when they're in the couple? Like, so they're well aware of all kind of stuff that happens with their other couple friends that the guy has shared with them, but they don't share. But yet the woman in the couple is the one who does share with her husband. Like when she finds out something about the other people or whatever.
That's not exactly what I said.
Okay, well, what did you say? Like, clear it up.
They don't share as much as women, I don't
share
think.
as much.
Yeah, it's
all
just,
right.
I think women gonna tell everything.
I don't know.
Not everything, but most. Like, oh, this happened, and just start running it down.
I'ma just laugh. Y'all in the comments, let me know what y'all think about that. So the guys continue to talk and everything. And then, of course, Terry Medea starts talking and lecturing about this is Mike and his situation is the whole reason why Black women, now at that point in 2007 had the leading cases of HIV, basically because of men like Mike who were stepping out on their wives and just doing all kind of whatever.
Look, what your wife don't know won't hurt.
That's why Black women have the leading new cases of HIV in this country.
Before that, Marcus said you just got to be careful.
You got to be more careful, man.
And then Terry responds, it ain't got nothing to do with being careful.
It ain't got nothing to do with being careful. He shouldn't have did it.
But before, when they were chopping wood and stuff, he talking about, if you're going to cheat, then basically wrap it up.
Yeah, which is another way of saying, like, quote unquote, be careful.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, condoms break, other things can happen. I mean, can you ever be 100% careful? The only way to be 100% careful is to, like, not do it, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't what he said to the guy.
Earlier.
So
That
he's
is true.
basically saying the same thing.
That is true. Well, I mean, he said something conflicting.
Yeah.
So then they get in this whole conversation about not cheating on their wives. They've been married for 10 years or over 10 years or whatever. And so you have Gavin and Terry who are like, nah, we don't cheat on our wives or whatever. So then Gavin confesses, he doesn't do it because, it would hurt Patricia and all this and that.
But then I think about what that's going to do to her and my family, and it ain't worth it.
And then Terry confesses that there was a woman who tried to get at him. She was at him, but nothing happened.
There was this woman who, she was at me, but nothing happened.
Marcus was like, why not? But he avoids the answer.
Look at Joe's situation.
You told me Diane wasn't giving it up. You ain't had none in 3 months. Now.
He's basically said, because I'm married. That story was pointless. There was this woman, nothing happened. So why is you telling the story? This woman tried to get at me and I didn't do it. What?
So Mike advises him, of course, bad advice, to when he gets back to hook up with that woman because of the fact that Diane ain't giving him no sex and that he got a right to get sex from his wife, essentially.
Yeah, because Marcus was like, Diane ain't having a stick with you. Yeah, I'll tell you your business. Like, what in the world?
But then what I realized about Terry is that, what he does? He uses questioning other people as this diversionary tactic from his own business. So, instead of explaining what happened with him and the woman and giving the details, then he just goes off and lets Mike start talking about, because Mike is like, it's in the Constitution or something that you got a right to have sex with your woman or get a woman to have sex with you if your wife ain't doing it, right?
Look, if your wife ain't giving you none, you got the legal right to get some.
And so then he just follows that path. And of course, because Mike is a dummy, Mike is just going to talk about his own stupid philosophies. And Terry knows that. And so then Terry he's off the hook. He doesn't have to really talk about this other woman who got at him. Now, maybe the other part of that is that Terry is wise enough to know not to say certain things in front of Mike. Maybe he don't want to go because maybe Terry would have never told Mike because we know what Mike turned out to be. He gonna tell everybody business.
Look at what Marcus done.
But the point, that's the point, right? The point is that he confided in Marcus. Marcus only busted him out because Terry had busted Marcus out first. Like, how you gonna be like that when your situation, right? So then that's how Mike found out about the most recent goings on with Terry not getting anything and Marcus, burning, right? So maybe they knew, Mike for a long time. Maybe they knew not to trust Mike with the info, really. But, in this case, they busted each other out. So anyway, they finished up the conversation, amongst men, hee and ha-ha.
That bastard let her drive all the way up here by herself, Terry.
Terry and Diane are in the bed. Diane is going on about how Mike treated SHEILA and making her have to drive up there.
And then he comes in here with her and not his wife. I mean, what is wrong with him?
And Terry's just like, baby, calm down. This weekend is supposed to be about us.
This weekend's supposed to be about us, remember?
I know that. I know.
Like, wait, what, bro?
Terry don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but you know what's going on. You know he's cheating. You know all of this. And she's like, forget about them. That's not our problem. Then he's like, it's a good time to work on our son.
This is a good time to work on our son.
And she denies him. Block shot.
Are you kidding me? One of my best friends is out there in the middle of nowhere and you're trying to have sex?
And her excuse is, SHEILA's out there. So how could you be having sex at this time? How could you be sleeping at this time too?
No. Move. Poor SHEILA.
I'm like, nobody wanted to get a search party together for SHEILA or keep calling her number until she gets to just a point where her phone cell service will come up and go through so that she can know that they're like looking for her.
It doesn't seem that dire because what we saw, it was a nice little time outside and everything, right? They didn't give us no sound effects of crazy wind and stuff slamming into other things, right? Like it's a bad snowstorm out there. So they seem like they just in comfort in this cabin.
They are.
So it's no sense of urgency to be worried about SHEILA, really. But if you had added all of that to that, then I'd be like, dang, how you just gonna ignore all this? All of y'all.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and one thing that she did say when she was complaining about Mike and, being up there with Trina and having made Sheila drive and all that, was she was like, you better keep him away from me, and this is what she's telling him.
No, you better keep him away from me. That's all I have to say.
And I'm laughing. I'm like, or what? Because he was up and around you and you didn't do nothing. You ain't going to say nothing. And as we see moving forward, you're in favor of like sweeping things under the rug and not really confronting stuff. So what was you going to do? What you mean keep him away from you? Like that was just jibber jabber talk.
Yeah, and then Medea's like, I'm gonna whoop his ass and stuff.
At the end of the scene.
Whoop his ass.
And the more I watch this, the more it's like,
he's a woman.
is he just that bad of an actor, or he doesn't know how to channel like a different person? Or maybe like this, maybe Terry is him, but then of course he plays Medea, and Medea is also Tyler Perry, and he just can't separate them, because even the types of humor, like it's very Medea like, how he was just like, I'm gonna whoop his, like that's something Medea would have said. But anyway, it's just a critique there.
Yeah, it's just very weird. That's the problem with doing the reversals from these stereotypes. Is it don't come off right. That's why you use these tropes in movies and stuff a lot of the times. Is because the way it's going to be portrayed is just
and because
how it
there
works.
is usually some, at least, it's a stereotype, right? So there is usually going to be some element of truth sometimes in terms of that generalization.
Yeah, or we're so used to the stereotype and the trope that if you go outside of that, then it's off.
Yeah.
I saw him. He was in there up until 2 hours ago.
What? I
Yeah,
knew
I'm
it.
telling
Diane, Patricia, and Angela are cooking breakfast and stuff, and they're talking about Sheila's situation, because Angela saw Mike go into Trina's room that night and knock it down, chop it down. I guess she didn't see the whole thing, but she saw him go into the room. And then they're talking about whether or not they're going to tell her. Angela's like, I'm going to tell her. When Angela says that, hey, I saw her go in there, Diane's like, I knew it. Bro, why is everybody just like coming to these revelations and stuff? Like, this doesn't make sense. But then Patricia's like, no, you don't know what state of mind she's going to be. Don't tell her. And Diane agrees.
Yeah.
Pat's right. She's been really depressed lately.
I'm telling her.
No, Pat's right. She's been really depressed lately. Let's just wait.
Let's just wait. Sometimes people get angry when you tell them.
Sometimes people get angry at you for telling them.
Sometimes people get happy. So why do you defer to the not telling? Right? Just because some people get angry, and a lot of people in the comments, some people do get upset. So some people are ecstatic and they're excited. Thank you for telling me. Why don't you defer to that side of it, since some do this and some do that?
Well, and the other thing I wonder is it that Patricia and Diane just don't want any trouble? Is it that they just don't ever want to really rock the boat? They just, they're just content at whatever cost, right? Because it's really not about doing, quote unquote, the right thing. They're just pretending like that they're being so considerate. But at the moments when they should have been the most considerate, like when Sheila walks off and leaves and you don't know where she's at for months or whatever, you're not being that.
But when was the last time they seen and talked to Sheila? Anyway.
Question I always got, and again, we're back to, are y'all even in the same town? I need to understand this.
It was good. There were like snow bunnies and the silver fox things.
So why they're all sitting around and everything, I just wondered, like, why did Trina ask Marcus? It's not off the subject. Why did she ask him how did he sleep? That's very weird.
So, how did you sleep last night, Mark?
I slept great.
Because she was going to come slide in there and lay up with him, too, if she could.
But then Angela go back and forth with Trina.
Trick, was anybody talking to you?
Trick?
Yeah, trick. As in slut, hoe.
Right? And then Terry make a joke about, oh, she's cooking grits, blah, blah.
I will mop the floor with your behind.
Hey, you better handle that. She's cooking grits.
Cheap laugh, right? And cheap laughs ruin characters, I believe.
Yeah, but he also says, I'm just going to move out the way, basically.
Yeah.
I'm just going to move the hell out of the way.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to just move out the way and let it happen, which is not exactly kind of consistent with his character. Like, he's all over the place as a character, Terry is. And I have to blame that on the writer, who is also the actor playing Terry, Tyler Perry, right?
Yeah, and then Sheila and Troy show up, right?
Yeah.
Hey, divas!
What's going on, everybody?
everybody.
Thank God you're okay.
SHEILA tries to introduce Troy to Trina,
This is Sheriff Troy.
and we know what's going on between them. And
Trina, that's Troy. I talked about you all last night. Girl, he is single.
Terry makes another joke about, yeah, he's single, she's single.
Yeah, sit down. You're single. He's single.
And then he laughs like I think he's doing
And
it
he's
as a
fanning
joke.
the flames, really.
Yeah, but
is
he's
what
doing it like it's funny.
Yeah, and it's not funny. And but he's like being messy. And so either you're like the
mentor.
old wise man
Yeah.
mentor archetype, or you're messy. So like you have
Medea coming through.
Yeah, you have Medea coming through. He's just got multiple personalities. He is both Medea and Terry. Terry would not have done this, but Medea would, and they're both living in the same body. So that's an issue. But another thing that happens in this scene is when Sheriff Troy comes in, he gives the package with the shot in it, the shot that's for Marcus and him burning, to Terry, and he's just like, oh, this came for you, blah, blah, blah. And he has it because whenever the mailman can't get up the hill or whatever, he leaves it with the sheriff, and the sheriff brings the package.
And his wife asks, what's that?
And he don't tell her.
Oh, Dr. Bob, package came for you. Thank you.
What is that?
It's something I needed.
He is working, right? He'll do it for his friend, right? You're supposed to be on vacation, but you still calling up, getting prescriptions and stuff for people.
He also makes a whole nother comment because, when all of this is going on and the fight between Angela getting pissed off with Mike and all that, Marcus is just like unresponsive, and he eating his food like nothing is happening around him.
Let me go and just,
What is wrong with your wife?
Angela, she's upset for a reason. Everybody here knows the reason. And then Angela leaves, and then Terry makes another joke and stuff about like, what's wrong with your wife?
Yeah.
You don't notice? You're just so used to it. You know what's going on.
Welcome to my world.
You done got so immune to it, you don't even know.
You know what's going on with everything. You know what's going on between Angela and Marcus, and you also know what's going on between Mike and Trina, and now SHEILA, who has just arrived. You know it's a mess. But I don't know. I feel like this character wasn't done as well. Terry could have been a better character. And you could have given the laugh to somebody else. I don't know who, but you could have.
Diane is like really playing the background. She don't really have a part.
So next thing, the phone rings, and it's the house phone that's there in the cabin. For those of you who don't know what the house phone is, that's a phone that is like a landline phone. It is not a cell phone. So apparently Monica, Diane's assistant, had the telephone number to the cabin, and I guess Diane did that in case she didn't have cell service. She's called, and then it becomes...
Oh, is that why?
Yeah. I mean, you're going up to the mountains, I would think,
But her cell phone's been working, so.
It's been, but you don't know it's going to be working before you leave, right? So you're like, hey,
why did she call that? Did she not answer the cell phone? Is my thing.
Maybe he should. I mean, at this point, Terry might have went in the phone and had blocked Monica's number. You just never, because Terry just taking things upon himself. So who knows? Or maybe the storm made it where the phone wouldn't. It's 2007. They didn't have nearly as many cell towers as they have now. And
SHEILA didn't even call until she got there. That's strange too. Because nobody knew she was coming and was going to arrive. They have a phone there, a house phone, and I'm sure the sheriff got a phone. So what's going on there, bro?
Yeah, she just was like, whatever. So she just shows up. So they're on the phone, and it becomes apparent.
No, it's okay. He said what? No, it's fine. Thank you.
Because he told you what? So Monica has told that Terry told Monica when she called the cell phone that Terry had said, don't call that phone because they were on vacation, or don't call. And maybe that's why she didn't call. Maybe that's why Monica didn't call that phone, because now look, Terry may be liable to call that phone. But, what was the chances or the odds that she was going to answer the house phone?
Yeah, exactly. But she gets off the phone like, what? He said what? All right. She starts calling Terry's name, and Terry act like he can't hear her.
Terry. Terry.
Yeah.
Like, what is bruh?
Just being ridiculous.
So ridiculous. And then he looks up like he didn't hear her, and she says, can I talk to you for a minute? And Terry tells Diane, no.
Can I talk to you for a minute?
No.
Well, no, what she asked him straight up first was, did you tell Monica not to call me? He said, vacation.
Did you tell Monica not to call me?
On vacation.
Then she said, can I talk to you for a minute? Because she was ready to cuss him out and she didn't want to do it in front of all the people.
Is that what it is, or is it why in the hell would you do this?
Well, that was my equivalent of what I was going to say, cuss him out.
Bruh,
like
that's not
for
the same
them,
thing.
that would have been cussing him out, right? You want to get at him, but
maybe she wanted to have some discussion, communication, and he's the one who don't want to communicate. All right, that could be it.
So yeah, so he's just like, no. And then not only that, but it was so dismissive. He was like, no. And then he's like, so Troy, I want to go on.
I seen those snowmobiles.
Snowmobiles.
So, Troy, we saw some people on like snowmobiles or something. Where did we get those?
That's one thing I don't like about this movie. They don't show any other people.
Well,
besides these characters, and I guess on a plane and the train and stuff. But if we're at a resort, I need to know we're at a resort. You got to set up the scene for me. Show some ski lifts or whatever. People
you wanted
on
some
snowmobiles.
B-roll with people on snowmobiles.
Or people
around.
in the background and stuff. This looks like it's a secluded place.
They were secluded. That's what makes you feel like it's gonna be a Jason movie where it's a slasher and everybody
when they
gonna
start
get
looking
killed.
at each other all crazy and stuff at the beginning, like
So yeah, but like he was completely dismissive. It was outrageous, and I don't care if you say no right then. We are like nothing is moving forward. Like, oh, it's yes right now. It's yes right now.
You have to put on a front for all the other people there. So
man, that was just
you just gotta wait till
foolishness.
later. But then you just say it out loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
You be like, Terry, come over here and let me talk to you, and then that'll probably compel.
And
him.
when he say no, I've been like, he'd been talking to Sheriff Troy. I'd been.
He's
over
not
there.
going to say no.
He
right?
told her no, right?
Yeah, but the other people weren't aware of that. That's what I'm saying. If she would have said it louder, hey, Terry, can we come talk over here? Then that would have forced him to say yes, because he's not going to just say no and look bad in front of the group.
Yeah. Terry ain't what he's trying to be cut out to act like he is.
That is gorgeous, Sheila.
I like that.
I don't like it.
The women go shopping and we get to see some other people, but it still feels like they went off somewhere else to go do this.
Well, that little cabin is probably up the hill a little further, up the mountain, or just not near the town
but
center.
they could see people in snowmobiles and stuff too.
Well, they went away, right?
They went
on
walking.
a hike. Well,
yeah. So how far is you hiking?
I don't know. Who knows what Trina out there?
We talked about it in the last video, what they were possibly doing. Then we have Patricia getting on my nerves and talking to Diane.
Something's going on with you, and I can feel it.
He told my secretary not to call me this week.
Yeah.
But Diane is talking about since I made partner, he's been different and stuff.
Since I made partner, he's been so different.
Yeah. So basically, Diane is over there venting because he told her assistant not to call.
Girl, the man is just looking out for you. You're on vacation, Diane.
That's what it
And then Pat is like, girl, he just looking out for you. You've been so busy or whatever.
You are so busy. We can't even reach you.
Well,
Patricia, your advice may not be so high.
This is the writer telling us what's right and wrong. Because the husband feels some way. The doctor, who is always right, is telling us, the psychiatrist or whatever she is, psychologist.
She's a psychologist, yeah.
She's telling us what is right. Because anytime something happens, here she comes. Remember the things I taught you and all of this. And I think that's supposed to indicate what the right answer
that it is factually correct.
It is factual
it is the
because
way it should be.
she is an expert on relationships and she's saying it. Just like Sheila, she's not ready to know. So that when Angela says something, it's like Angela done something wrong. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So it's indicating that your boy is right. Terry is right. And she just been so busy that even her friends haven't been able to get in contact with her.
you know how long I've wanted this. Now it's finally happened. I have a lot of demands on me.
Well, and Diane continues her venting, and she's like, and he got the nerve to be trying to talk about this is a time for us to make a son.
All he talks about is having a son, and I don't want to.
And she don't want to have another baby.
And I don't want another child. I have a career.
And she confesses that even their first child, their only child, Kenya, was a compromise. But
marriage is about give and take. I compromise with Kenya, okay? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love...
Because, of course, Patricia's like, marriage is compromise and da-da-da-da. She's like, I compromised to have the one baby we have, and I don't want another one. She's very, very clear on that. And then in the midst of the conversation, after she's kind of done venting, she realizes that there may be some sensitivity, much like in the earlier scene with Gavin and Terry. Now she realizes Patricia may have some sensitivity because they've lost a child. And she's like, I'm sorry. Is this difficult for you?
I'm sorry, honey. Is this difficult for you?
Oh, girl, please. No, I'm fine.
And we still, by the way, don't know what happened to this child because, you know, Tyler Perry is trying to build up to this moment of big reveal. So we only have hints. We just know that they lost a child, and it's been said 2 times in the movie so far.
So she talked about how she just made partner and all of this. Can't she just be like, hey, I'm partner. I make the decisions. You work on this case. I'm going on vacation. Or is it that since she's partner, then that means she's the best and she got to be on this big case?
You know, I really don't know, because I would think that like you have a team under you. I mean, and not just you as the only attorney, but maybe it depends on the size of the firm. Somebody in the comments is an attorney and can tell us like kind of how this would go on a really huge case. But I would think if you're a firm of size, you know, then you have a team of people, some junior lawyers who are also on your team who are doing all the stuff.
You do all the work, and then when it come to trial, you'll be like, then you take it up. You know what I'm saying?
You know, you just, and you're directing them on what to do. Research this, pull this case law, you know, whatever. And then, you know.
Yeah, and they report back.
That's what I imagine
what
would
did you
happen.
find? Oh, you found this, and then you're just thinking about how you're going to present this.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that's who needs prayer. I just need to lose some weight and it'll get better for us.
Then we see SHEILA and Angela talking, and they're getting to the nitty gritty about, you know, what all is going on between SHEILA and Mike. And then SHEILA is confessing about, you know, how her weight is an issue in her marriage and everything. Angela gets ready to tell SHEILA like what the real deal is in the conversation. And we see Diane being like, we see Diane like, Angela.
All right, SHEILA, honey, look, I got to tell you something.
Angela. Like to stop her from saying anything.
This is the prime time. This is the time that she is blaming herself. It's me, it's me, it's me. And as a friend, you be like, no, it ain't you. He's cheating with this woman that's right here.
That's right here. We could, we could whoop her butt right now.
But you want her self-esteem to go further and further down. Like she's blaming herself. She's vocalizing it. You can hear her saying it's her. Not you just thinking, oh, she probably think it's because of her. She's telling you this. And then Diane, nah, don't say nothing. Just let her believe it's her. That she is the problem. Like, come on, man.
What kind of friend?
Why do you have to be so mean to her? You don't even know her. No, you don't know her.
So then after everything goes down, Angela asks Patricia, hey, you know, what do you got to say about that? The fact that SHEILA kind of exploded on Angela in defense of Trina, because SHEILA don't know Trina is as dirty as she is at this point.
All right, Dr. Agnew, what you got to say about that?
And nobody will let Angela tell her. And so then Patricia's all like, she's not ready.
She's not ready.
Oh, you got Diane chiming in. You can say that again. You know, so here Diane is agreeing again.
You can say that again.
The next scene, we see Diane come into the bedroom where Terry is. And she's like, are you ready to talk? Terry's like, talk about what?
Are you ready to talk about this?
Talk about what?
As if you don't know, fool. You know what she want to talk about. And so then she's like, you know, about you telling my assistant not to call.
About you telling Monica not to call me.
And he like, well, if you don't understand that, then, you know, I don't know what to tell you.
So if you don't understand that, honey, there's nothing I need to say.
So, like, Terry is being completely passive aggressive when he knows what the problem is. He knows what the deal is. Oh, but I thought you guys were such good communicators, right? Diane, actually the better communicator, says, what is this really about?
Okay, what is this really about?
You know, to get to the nitty gritty of it, he's like, oh, and tries to blame shift and turn it on her. I'm beginning to think you're doing this on purpose.
I'm beginning to think you're doing this on purpose.
You know I want more kids.
You know I want more kids.
So then you're going to fight with me, so then we don't have sex and I don't get the kids I want.
You fight with me every night so we don't have to have sex.
I don't think it's meant to be like he's turning it on her, because he is supposed to be so observant and analytical. Right. So he done figured this out. You fight with me every night so that we don't have sex. Right. So that's why he's holding a book, looking all nonchalant with his glasses, because he's just very cool, calm, collected, observant, and analytical.
And we have to remember that this is Tyler Perry who wrote this, and his favorite character, which is the one he's going to play, right, who knows everything, supposedly. But I don't think as a viewer, we cannot take for granted that Terry is right, even though I even think the writer wants us to believe he's right, because I don't think he's right. I believe he thinks that that is what she's doing. But the question is, and you can go to the comments and say that, do you think she's fighting with him to avoid it? Or do you think she's literally just avoiding it because she's just avoiding it because she really doesn't want to, but she's expressed that to him on some level. But in addition to that, her focus is not on that at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think it's about career. It's what keeps coming up. She don't want to have kids. He want to have kids. But I think it's plot holes again, right? Because she's fighting with him so they won't have sex, because if you have sex, then you can have kids. But she has a successful partner attorney who I would take as very responsible, right, to have a role like this and fighting in these big cases, that she can just take birth control, regularly.
Like, let's just okay, come on. You don't have to avoid sex to not have kids. So to me, that's the dumb plot hole of it. Like, she could go and get a shot and he would never even freaking know. Because, I mean, if she had birth control pills or something, then, that, I mean, and again, I'm not saying that that's what she should do. Obviously, she should express to him what she wants and what she doesn't want. That is the proper way to go about it. But the point is, and here, he's trying to make it like she's being deceptive. If she really wanted to be deceptive, all she had to do was go get a shot.
Yeah, but I think that's that's what's trying to be communicated in the story here. And
you missed.
Yeah. Because, why would she just be avoiding it? Because we never see that itself come in as a problem, right? Until, I guess, much later on. Yeah, it just seems like she's just trying to avoid to not have children. But at this point in the movie, she could just be on birth control.
Like, it's just a dumb reason. So then at the end of it all, he just laughs and dismisses her. And he's like, good night, as he continues to read his book.
We've been here 2 days, honey. When do you think you'll be ready to go? This is definitely good night.
Because he's supposed to be so smart and so having figured everything out. But you know what, viewers, don't believe that Terry's got it.
Another one of those tropes, though, too. If you're a physician or a doctor, I would just say physician. If you're a physician, then that means you're one of the smartest people on earth.
And you know everything about everything, which I don't, listen, everybody's an expert in the area they're an expert in. But I mean, very few people are experts in a whole lot of areas.
Yeah.
Come on.
And that's I kind of contributed something to Diane, right? Like, hey, you're probably responsible, dedicated, or have some sort of perseverance, I would think, into becoming a high power attorney or to even become a physician. So we're not taking that away. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not taking it away. I'm just saying that it doesn't mean that all these other attributes are bestowed upon you as being observant and analytical.
Yeah.
And just all out brilliant.
Or even that you just have so much insight into human psychology because he's a pediatrician. That he's not a psychiatrist. If he was a psychiatrist, then maybe.
Yeah. The stuff they attribute to him is how they do CIA agents, military people, and police, right?
Yeah, they just
he just noticed every little detail and all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I just got off the phone with the lab, man. You straight. Yeah. Don't sleep with Angela, man, until that shot kicks in.
So in the next scene, we see the guys. They're all gathered around playing pool. Terry's heard from the lab. He's like, don't sleep with Angela for 4 or 5 days until your shot kicks in. You straight. That's what he tells Marcus. But he also is like, you got to tell Angela, basically, that you was burning, is burning, because women don't know as soon as men. So he kind of gets back on his soapbox and whatever.
You got to tell her. Women don't know as soon as men do.
As he's explaining the reasons why it's the right thing to do. And I completely agree. It's the right thing to do. You should be telling Angela. So he's back to the kind of perfect character Terry role. And then they go into a whole bunch of conversations about the 80-20 rule that Gavin comes up with and talks about,
That was out of nowhere. I wonder if they edited out some dialogue or something, because they're just talking about, hey, you should tell her. And then he's like, I've been trying to tell you about the 80-20 rule.
I keep trying to tell your brothers about the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it's supposed to be appropriate because Mike is cheating and he's looking for his 20% that he feels he's not getting from SHEILA.
In marriage, you're only going to get 80% of what you need. That's it.
And so, maybe that's why.
I guess but he's not leaving her for that 20, so it don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is you're going to leave 80 thinking you're getting something better and you end up with 20.
I guess Mike, but not Marcus, right?
Right.
But yeah, it just seemed out of place. But I think it was just to advance the plot to put that in there. right? Hey, I need to bring up the 80-20 rule. How is it brought into, the fold?
Love.
Love.
Troy is kind of trying to put the moves on Trina.
Trina, you dropped your napkin.
Oh, Mom, thank you.
And he's like, it's places, I could show y'all around because, they talk about how the place is beautiful and stuff.
Well, this place is beautiful.
Thank you. I think so too. I'd love to show you guys around before you leave.
Patricia and them agree and like, yeah, when can we do it? Troy tells them, tomorrow early. And Terry's like, yeah, he would love to do that.
Sounds good to me.
But then he says, I don't know if my wife would be able to make it. And
I don't know if my wife will be able to make it, though. She
blah, blah, probably got to talk on the BlackBerry.
probably has to check her BlackBerry to see if she'll be available.
Passive aggressive digs at Diane.
Yeah, like, what is going on here? This is very ridiculous. You're trying to give advice to everybody else on what they should be doing to your other friends and stuff, right? Well, how come no other characters advise them? I guess Patricia kind of told Diane something, but from the men.
Well, because he's the male Patricia, like
Yeah.
you said. Maybe
I guess
Gavin.
Mike did.
Gavin did say the 80-20 rule.
Yeah,
Mike
but-
is giving his terrible advice.
Yeah, Mike say you could cheat. He get a pass because of the law. But the 80-20 does it. I guess it's telling him don't leave your wife.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's not like directed like he directed. You need to tell her. You need to stop cheating. It's very different. Is it to show that the character is beyond advice?
Maybe so, because I still think he was established to be wise. And I don't think when analyzed that Tyler Perry, when people look at this movie, I don't think that Tyler Perry looks at this movie and feels that there is anything wrong with Terry. I think Terry is like legit perfect, except that maybe at times he's frustrated or he allows the little, does little minor digs where he stirs the pot, right? But nothing major. To me, I think Tyler Perry probably would overlook this huge pitfall that the dude really is controlling and that he's a terrible communicator and his advice ain't all that either.
Yeah, so in the comments, do y'all think that Tyler Perry believed that he created a close to flawless character?
I mean, how much a gig like that pay, huh?
Mike is trying to take digs at Sheriff Troy, who cabin they're staying in, who had a brochure and everything for this little retreat. And talking about, oh, you the big sheriff in town. How much do they pay? It can't be much.
Can't be too much, that's all.
Troy is like, but I don't do it for the money.
Well, Mike, I don't do it for the money.
Diane says some people do it for the enjoyment. Imagine that, Terry.
Some people do it for the enjoyment. How about that, Terry?
So now she got to get back passive aggressive with him,
But
because he's been acting a fool
that
with her.
that digs ain't the same.
That's
right?
true.
Because what indicates that you're doing this for the enjoyment?
No,
Because
you're doing it to climb the career ladder.
that's exactly what she told Patricia, right? And what would be the indicators of that? Besides, you don't want to have kids because you enjoy doing lawyer work? We're like, wait, what?
It's just the typical human hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's just strange. But she had to get her a dig in.
Might do it for the enjoyment.
Oh, you must need another drink, don't you?
So Mike doing the Mike thing, and he's basically sees that Troy and Trina are laughing, and he's like, share with the table, everyone.
Snowmobile. I can do that. We'll race or something.
What's so funny? You want to share with the table?
Diane jumps in basically like, why can't these single people do single people stuff? SHEILA jumped in, all that. We talked about that in previous videos. While Angela is still pushing this, Diane's like, let's just drop this.
Can we just drop this, please? I'm so agreeing with Diane right now.
Because again, she just wants to avoid the problems. Let's just have dinner. I don't want to deal with this. And at this moment, I don't think Diane has any idea of like what's really coming, right? She just knows that there's tension between her and her husband, and she probably ain't in the mood for the BS,
Yeah, it's just all about don't tell SHEILA. Let's just act like nothing's going on between SHEILA's husband and her supposed friend.
Well, and maybe that's one thing I haven't really thought about or explored is the idea that perhaps the reason for the avoidance on this trip really was that everybody is consumed with their own problems in their own marriage. We talked about it a little bit after all the secrets were exposed at this table, but ahead of this, everybody kind of had issues. And
Yeah,
so
but
if you got issues at home, you know, do you really want to hear all this mess between these other people?
you don't have to hear it, you know about it, and do you tell your friend or not? That's what it come down to. People always have problems, so I'm gonna just wait until everything is perfect when they all say marriage is work, you know,
And when
and
they say,
whatever
"We're
other
happier than we've ever
cliches.
been," and then that's when you come with your nonsense.
Yeah, and then be like 4 years later, yeah, your husband was smashing Trina. Remember 4 years ago we went to that
Shut
retreat
up.
up there in Colorado? Yeah, he been smashing since then.
Foolish.
Like, come on.
Marcus, get your wife. Okay, let's do it. Come on.
Angela lets the cat out of the bag after much prodding and, you know, talking about it ahead of time.
I may be a little drunk, but somebody at this table got some damn secrets.
And right before she lets the cat out of the bag, Diane makes one last attempt and she's like, you know, settle down, basically don't do this.
Really?
That's enough.
No. Diane.
Angela is just like, you know, she's going to go ahead and do it after Mike says, nah, Diane, some people got some secrets. And so let's
Yeah.
talk about it, you know?
And then you knew it was gonna come out and stuff. And if y'all have your fearless leader, Patricia, why didn't y'all just be like, okay, let's just let Patricia tell her and figure out when and how because she's the expert. Instead of we're gonna just try to totally avoid this and act like it's not happening. Now it gotta come out in this situation.
In an embarrassing way in front of everybody.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. The reason she can't go with this man or any other man is because she's sleeping with yours.
So then they have more jokes coming through because Sheriff Troy is like ready to get out of Dodge. Sheriff Troy is like, I think I need to go head on out.
Well, you all, thanks for dinner, but I should be going.
Deuces. And then we have Terry bringing some comedy in or attempting to. And he's just like, no, I think you need to stick around. We're going to need some law enforcement around here kind of thing.
I think you need to stay, man. We're going to need some law enforcement around here.
Sheila asks Mike, hey, is it true? Mike says yes.
Is it true?
Yeah, it's true.
And then he transforms and he's like, I'm not the only married person with a secret at this table.
I'm the bad guy. I'm not the only married person with a secret at this table.
Then he starts letting it out. The first thing he says is Terry. He didn't go back at Angela. He's just like, Terry.
He was saving that for the grand finale.
Terry, have you told your wife how you got a DNA test on your daughter because you wasn't sure it was yours?
Terry, have you told your wife how you got a DNA test on your daughter because you weren't sure that she was yours?
Like, where does this come in from any of the stuff that we've seen thus far? It don't hit us hard, right?
And it sounds to me like, okay, so his beef has been, you know, they weren't having a lot of sex. They historically probably wasn't having maybe a lot of sex.
Yeah,
You know, I don't want to get ahead of myself in the conversation. But like, so this is nothing new for them.
His beef was about him wanting to have kids, right? Or another kid. So this don't sting the same as it's just out of nowhere. For the story to be better, we need to have something that makes us know that this guy is thinking this. So when it comes out, it then came out. Just like we knew what was happening with the other couples that then came out, right? Well, at least with Angela and them. So this just out of nowhere, hey, dang, Terry, you know, 3/4 of the way through the movie had a DNA test on his daughter, but there didn't seem to be any problems like that up until now. It's out of left field.
So now he's got trust issues. This might not be my kid.
Yeah.
Mike, don't go telling secrets, man.
No. Come on, Marcus. Y'all talking about me.
So then the next secret is the same couple, Diane. And he's like, did you tell Terry that you had your tubes tied after you had your first kid?
Diane, have you told your husband that you got your tubes tied after you had Kenya? Didn't tell him?
So up until now, it was all avoidance of sex because he keeps pressing about having a kid. But hold up, her tubes are even tied.
That's what SHEILA told me. I'm sorry, Terry, but your chances of having a boy, a little slim to none.
You know, she's been busted out. Back to what we just talked about. Like, she didn't need to avoid sex with you not to have a baby. And this is, okay, so I conclude now that whole thing is a plot hole because I still think that Tyler Perry felt that Terry's assessment was correct in everything. You know, she was avoiding the sex. I don't think he felt like it was that he was mistaken in thinking this, although he had a history of being mistaken, right? Because it was actually his kid. But I don't know.
I think you have to have some twist. So he is right in the moment so that later on we could throw in the real wrench, which is totally different. which makes none of it makes sense.
Because she was not avoiding sex to avoid having a child because her tubes were tied. Hello.
Yeah. But I guess you're trying to trick the viewer into that.
But it all has to make sense and be cohesive. You know,
because
it's like trashy hood novels where, you know, everything doesn't completely add up because you're so busy trying to have this big reveal.
Yeah, because she would have just had a birth control, but she had her tubes tied. So at this point in the movie, this great reveal is that she had her tubes tied. Now I'm like, why did you tell me all this other stuff before? Because it's not the actual secret. It's not really a big secret. Hasn't come out yet. It needs to come out here. This is a misdirection reveal that doesn't tie up what happened.
You are a low down dirty bastard.
Shut up.
So then Mike continues to go on and expose all of these different secrets. And then he goes on to reveal the secret to Angela that, you know, Marcus has been burning or whatever. And then Angela comes back and she reveals that, you know, basically she was the one who gave the VD to Marcus. And it's just a whole big mess, which you can watch us unravel in another video that we've linked in the description on Angela and Marcus's story. You know, everything just explodes and it ends, not ends, but, you know, it continues on with basically Marcus trying to choke Angela out. And everything is just in utter chaos. But back to Diane and Terry. You know, they looked extremely surprised at each other's secrets. And one thing I noticed about all the secrets that were revealed at this table is that they mostly involved children, either trying to have children, what happened with the children, or sex in the case of Angela, but still all related to children. Interesting to me, except SHEILA, and they don't have kids.
Of course, all the problems are sex related too. Low hanging fruit.
Very low.
Everybody leaves the cabin and it looks like they had one hell of a weekend and they're unsure about their lives.
Yep.
Oh, you're not gonna... I'll do it.
Diane don't close doors, so when they get in the car, Diane is waiting for Terry to close the door for her, and he doesn't. So I guess he does it every single time because, once again, Terry is the perfect man. And
not this day.
She's like, I guess I'll do it. But he's upset with her. I need to know how old their daughter is because he's talking about when we had sex or when we conceived, we had sex like what, one time?
Why did you test our daughter?
When you got pregnant, we had sex with once.
So I need to know how old his daughter is because has it been years that he ain't been getting none?
I doubt it's been years. He said it's been months. They've been getting, you know, years that it's that they just don't get any that often. That may just be their pattern, bro.
Okay. All right.
So there's really nothing new, nothing different, but he would like something to change.
That was basically his response. Like you say, he started asking questions. He was like, you weren't going to tell me. And then what she did was what was his tactic and say, you got our daughter tested.
Mm-hmm.
But then she asked him, is it yours? And he said, what do you mean? Yes.
What were the results?
What do you mean? She's mine.
Really?
And then she said,
Huh.
But what don't make sense is he's like, what is that supposed to mean? What are you saying?
What the hell is that supposed to mean? What the hell are you saying, Diane?
She's saying there was no questioning about it. I don't understand from the most analytical and observant guy. You don't know what that means. If she's just like,
Okay.
Like, what do you mean? What is that supposed to mean?
And sometimes it's just, I don't have nothing else to say.
Yeah, but you know what it is because she asked, is it yours? And you said yes. So it's saying, so it was no reason to do this. Even though it probably is, because you can always be like, once it favors you to be like, yeah, there was no question about it. But
well, and then some of this is just petty dagger throwing as well, right? You know, some of this is feelings being hurt and wanting to kind of reciprocate and have the other person's feelings being hurt. Because at the end of the day, both of their feelings are hurt because of secrets that they each kept from one another. But whose secret do you think was worse, actually? Do you think it was worse that he got his daughter DNA tested or that she got her tubes tied?
She got her tubes tied and didn't say anything.
Yeah, see, I think that's like not equal.
Yeah, it's nowhere close to equal.
It's just not equal.
But this is the perfect man, right? So he may have a little thing, he got his daughter tested, but it compares to what she did.
But they blame her, I got her tested because I had reason to believe,
Yeah.
right? Go to the comments. Whose secret was worse? Was it actually worse that he got his daughter tested? Like, to me, there's no way.
Yeah.
No way. It's not even in the same ballpark.
And did they not talk about it that night? Because his question was, when were you going to tell me? So how long has it been since she done this?
Look, that night they didn't talk about Jack.
That's my question.
They laid up in the bed together and didn't say a thing. They might not even been in the same room.
My question is, how long have your tubes been tied?
Hmm.
And then it's, so who you smashing because you're avoiding?
Since she delivered the baby. She got it done on the table.
Probably. That's why I need to know how old this child is.
So there's a phone call that SHEILA makes to explain to everybody where in the heck she's been for months while she stayed in Colorado with Sheriff Troy. And if you want to hear more about that, go ahead back to our video about Sheriff Troy and watch that one. But anyway, we're talking about Diane and Terry. And so on the phone before SHEILA gets off, she's like, hey, tell Terry that, a happy birthday. And then Diana's like, that's today? Oh my goodness. I don't even know my own man's birthday.
Diane shows up at home. She pulls up in a nice blue colored Jaguar. So she's a boss.
And then
by the time she gets home, it's dark.
I'm so sorry. I'm late. I just, I got wrapped up and it just slipped my mind.
So she gets home and all hell breaks loose, right? But when she gets home, who's sitting there but Terry and Pam, who is his nurse, played by Keisha Sharp. I love Keisha Sharp. I remember her from Girlfriends and some other movies and stuff. And I really wish
remember her from Put It Tang.
Yeah, and I just wish that she had gotten more roles along the way. I really like Keisha Sharp. So she's there, and boy, we just know that it is boiling, about to bubble the heck over.
It's all right, love. You remember what you want to remember.
Babe, I really am sorry.
And so she asks, are you two having an affair? Because they were sitting there eating food, and hey, Diane was nowhere to be found.
Are you two having an affair?
And of course, Terry's the perfect man, so he's not cheating.
Right.
It's a very legitimate reason that this lady is sitting at the table with him when his wife is gone and his daughter's upstairs sleeping.
So she's like, well, I think I better get up and leave. And she's like, I think you better, basically. And don't come back to this house.
I think I better go.
Yeah, you better. And don't come back to this house.
And so he's all quiet and calm. He's not yelling or anything in front of Pam. And he's just like, I'll see you back at the office. She's like, okay, blah, blah, blah. And they walk her out the house.
You fire her, and I mean it.
You don't come in this house and give me any damn ultimatums.
And then that's when Diane just really explodes. Don't let that whore back in this house again.
Don't you let that whore back in this house again.
And she's just going off, right? We finally see the kid who, I don't know, is probably like 6 or 7 years old.
Warning you.
Not an infant and, and not like a teenager.
That whore has tutored your daughter, went to her recital, picked her up when you left her sitting on the school steps.
They're just arguing. They're arguing about the state of their marriage. He's like, why are you tripping all of a sudden? He's like, it ain't been all of a sudden. I've been begging you to spend time with me.
I have been begging you to spend some time with me, begging you for months.
And I have.
What? He said, what kind of man has to make an appointment to sleep with his own wife?
What kind of man has to make an appointment to sleep with his wife?
One that has too much time on his hands.
Obviously, one who has too much time on his hands.
I mean, and that just points back to what you said about the role reversal, right?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, though, the way this guy's acting. But when he's marching down, following her or whatever, she's following him, he sounds like Medea.
Terdia.
Yeah, the roles are switched, and he's supposed to be legitimate. I think of this when people write movies, because a lot of times when you get movies like from rappers and stuff and cats like that, they want to be like, I'm a kingpin. They always put themselves as kingpin. And is it that because people who do this want to try to exude this sort of thing, like portray themselves? Somehow they think it, paints a picture of them.
Well, and I just think that is the hard. And I'm not saying that it wasn't hard for Tyler Perry. I think it's hard to write a character that you know you're going to play and not have yourself be like just this most amazing person and, you know, try to write it that way. I think it just, you're too close to it. And then you're marrying. I don't think he's really that great of an actor. No offense or anything like that. So I think it's very hard for him to view himself separate from the characters that he plays. Like he probably just picks an element of himself that's in these characters and then he just builds on that. I'm no actor, so, you know, I don't know what his approach exactly is. You know, that maybe that's what happened. So it's just really hard for him.
I guess because you do have actors who play specific type of roles. Like think of Cicely Tyson and them types, you know, Ozzie Davis and stuff. They're going to play a specific type of role. They're not going to have no negative attributes or none of those sort of things. Not just major glaring ones, you know. I guess it could be like that when you're writing too. So if I think I'm street and I glorify that, then I'm going to be what I think is ideal, which is a kingpin boss who's owns the strip club and getting all the women and all of that sort of thing. And if I have the so-called church morals and ethically relationship guy, then I'm gonna just be the perfect husband and man who is also a mentor and an example for everybody else in relationship.
What do you want me to do?
Tyler Perry picked the role or wrote the role that, you know, he would like to play, or probably like Bill Cosby back in the day too. I'm gonna be this
Cliff Huxtable.
I'm gonna be the perfect father and whatever and gentleman.
And any of my shortcomings or none of them are really terrible.
Yeah.
So they have this argument that continues on, and she's like, I'm for solutions, but you know, I'm not stepping back into the 1950s.
What I'm all for solutions, but maybe we could come up with something that doesn't involve me stepping back into the 50s.
Because he was just like, you know, maybe you could have sex with me sometimes or whatever.
How about doing what a wife does, screwing me on a regular? Can you handle that?
You know, but he's bringing it back to like the most basic, quote unquote, duties of a wife. A lot of his complaints, I do feel, are directly connected to the fact that she's a career woman and a lot is demanded of her time.
Yeah, but is it the 1950s? Because these would be the same complaints of a man. Spend some time with your kids and I guess have sex. That's basically all he said. Spend some time with me and your kid.
Yeah.
But that's extreme to me to say, you know, I don't want to step back into the 50s.
Well, they were both being extra, but maybe it's not just about what he says in that moment. Maybe it's about how he felt that he had the authority and the right to answer her phone, tell people at her job that not to call, to intervene, to interfere, you know, back to the whole, quote, controlling thing. Because would it be okay if she was trying to control his life in that same way? I don't think so. So this goes back to traditional gender roles.
You don't want a woman doing that too if it was reversed. Telling the job not to call or he's not answering.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the mind of Terry. Would it ever be acceptable for his wife to be controlling his job or interfering with his job on any level? No,
but I'm saying the same thing for the woman either.
Yeah, but he did it and had no problem with it. That's my point. My point is that he did it and thought it was okay for his whatever reasons.
Yeah, but I don't think that goes back to patriarchal reasons, right? I think he does it because I'm a sensitive guy who wants to spend time with my wife, right?
Oh, okay. So you don't think he's doing it because he's like, I'm the man and I'm going to, you know, get this situation right. And then in this moment, he's like, dude, you know, what husband should have to ask a wife? Do what a wife should do, right? Like, it's the little things that are adding up to that, even though overtly he's not like, you know, be barefoot and pregnant. But
I guess.
He's like, listen, I'll let you have a job.
Many memes over the past couple months about a woman shouldn't have to ask a man to do whatever. And that's basically what he said. A man shouldn't have to ask his wife these things. So,
well, now we're back to just traditional gender roles, right?
No, it's just having a spouse and, quote, not having to ask him to do something. But when you mention a gender, then somehow it's gender roles.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Because everything we see from this character, he's not a traditional man. He's a emasculated man, as people would say. He's the traditional woman in a relationship.
Or maybe he's the perfect man for the right now woman. Right? He's like not going to say anything about you having this great, powerful career. He's not going to be competing with you. He's not jealous of you and your success.
But he's not the perfect
He has money.
one.
He brings money to the table.
But he has a problem with her.
Just the
doing
time. Just the time thing, right?
Well, that's the whole issue.
He has a problem just with the time thing. What I'm saying is for the quote, right? And by right now, I mean, I'm kind of rolling my eyes when I say it. But, for the right now woman, the woman who's like, I'm going to have my career. I'm going to have it all. And he would be like the ideal mate for that. Aside from his two biggest complaints, which is like, I should get my way on wanting more children and,
No.
whatever.
He is the woman from the 80s who's telling her man in the 90s to come and spend time at home. Yeah.
Shut up.
Diane, you laid there and had your tubes tied and you didn't even tell me? You don't think that's selfish?
See, the thing is, he is absolutely right that she was selfish in that decision, right? In that decision to do it without telling him. But is it selfish that she didn't want more children? But I think it's kind of a selfish, quote, blanket statement, right? And it's not just specifically talking about this secret that she had kept of having her tubes tied. And I think that's where we get into the kind of murky waters of this discussion. Because to me, it's not what you want is not necessarily selfish. It's just what you want, right? She doesn't want any more children. She has a valid reason in terms of like, I have to carry the child. I have to care for this child.
Look, this is my body, okay? You don't have to carry a child. I do.
And I just don't want that.
You don't have to miss work. I do.
Right now, we already have one child. In her mind, she feels that she's compromised with the one child she's had. And those are her feelings. That I don't think that in alone, because that's how she feels, is selfish. But he's trying to make it blanket like you're a selfish person. Yeah, the move she made about not telling him she was getting this tubes tied, that was very selfish because you made a decision for the family, for the couple without consulting your partner.
Yeah, but he say you give up the I for the us or for us.
Yeah, for the we or whatever.
Diane, when you get married, you give up the eyes for us, okay?
Yeah, but he unilaterally made the decision to say, don't call over here, Monica.
Yeah, so they're both hypocritical in this way, But what he's saying...
I don't know if she's hypocritical because I don't know if she agreed to that. Well,
she's hypocritical because she doesn't think she's selfish, but she made a hugely selfish move by getting her tubes tied and feeling justified in doing it and not telling him.
You don't make those kind of decisions without talking to me.
And it's not hypocrisy.
Okay, well, it was wrong, and she's selfish for that move, and he was wrong, and in a way, he is being selfish. He is because he isn't looking at the things she's pointed out.
He's saying what I want should be what goes.
What we do, or we should at least be talking about it.
Well, he don't want to just talk about it because he want to have kids. They talked about it plenty of times, and she don't want kids. We know this
anymore. Yeah, and she, but he feels like it's okay to harass and hound her about that.
But
and if that's a deal breaker for him, well, then you got to get to the point where you just break the deal. Then, but he don't want to do that either.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. That's something when it comes to your autonomy, right, with your body and stuff. That's not like a compromising thing, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm gonna compromise and do something with my body that I don't want done to my body, no matter what it is. Just like if it's, hey, we're going to compromise and get tattoos. And no, I don't want to do this.
Right.
Like, what do you mean?
Right.
We go.
Exactly.
But she got to compromise and have kids.
Okay, so let me just throw a monkey wrench in the plan. That's true. But she doesn't want the changes to her body. She doesn't want to have to carry the kid. And then, of course, there's care and feeding of a child when the kid comes. And she's got to be a mother. And she's already feeling pressure from just mothering the one child she has. But what if they had a surrogate?
Oh.
What if they got a surrogate? How,
Okay, if she had a, then it takes away that whole thing. But then now she has to try to spend time with two kids, and she barely got the time for the one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you really gonna be complaining after that.
It's not just the physical part of it, although she's like, it's my body, which she's 100% right about.
Yeah,
it is your body.
You still should probably communicate that, hey, I'm going to have this procedure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is her body, so nothing should be happening to her body that she doesn't agree with. But you are still the person who would have to carry the child. Yeah. And so I think you owe the discussion.
Thing.
That's what I'm talking about too. Oh. So I think you owe him that discussion.
Yeah.
And if you're not on board.
Like, well, okay, I hear what you say. I'm still going to get my tubes tied now. Let's proceed.
So then he would have been told. And if he felt like, hey, this is a deal breaker, he's like, well, guess what? You decided to get your tubes tied, and now we need to talk about the fact that we need to, maybe move on from each other because I want more kids. To me, those are the hard things about, quote, deal breakers. But if it's not a deal breaker and you just want to stay with her and be less than content. And y'all don't start talking about what happens in Why Did I Get Married Part 2 and all that. But just in this moment, what we know from the relationship.
But do you want kids so that you and your wife can spend time with the kids, or do you want kids because you want to have kids? Because you can still adopt kids, just don't be pressing this woman about spending so much time with them if that ain't what she want to do. Then you have to figure out what you want to do, right? And it'll be the same thing if it was the woman and the man, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you want some more kids? He don't want it. Well, you got to accept that he don't want to spend no time with them or not.
See, I don't even want to start saying stuff that I want to say about
Sound
things
like
like
a
that.
commenter.
Yes, but I'll just leave it alone at this point because we already are gone long, and I don't want to go down a trail that is not related to this. But yes, so they're having this argument, and it is just getting more and more heated.
It's clear to me. One thing, very clear.
You don't want to be married.
Child, Terdia just totally snaps off and is just like, is just totally upset by this whole situation. And he, and this culminates in him snatching off his wedding ring, and he's like, I'm about to lose my wife.
But I'm about to lose my wife.
And then he tells her, I'm moving out.
Bruh.
I'm moving out.
What happened was he said, you don't want to be married to Diane. And then Diane says, basically, he just upset that my entire career is going way better than yours.
My entire career is going way better than yours. And you're having some testosterone issues.
Do you think that's even accurate? Like, I was like, come on, Diane. I don't think it has anything to do with her career and how well it's going.
Well, that's how people perceive things, right? Like, hey, I'm making more money, I'm climbing, whatever. They just feel that money and somehow and social status points to something being better, right? Even
You're
to the mind
jealous of me.
other people, when other people probably don't even care about those things, but you place your values upon other people.
True.
And attribute that to them. But then her phone rings, her BlackBerry. He picks it up and throws it against the wall and smashes it up. And it probably, it could be something important about a child who is facing capital murder, and the pediatrician is trying to send a child to prison yet again. But it goes to show,
Every
like,
time you say that, it makes me laugh.
Your reactions to things, right? So you worried about your marriage and having kids or whatever when it's something on the line like this that you're getting in the way of too. Is this really more important in the grand scheme of things?
It's not. And he feels fed up in the moment. This is supposed to be, Terdia feeling very fed up, and he's not going to take it anymore. And, so he's letting her know look, I'm moving out, right? I'm gone. Like, yeah. I guess this is how it happens. I don't know.
Thanks for giving me a call.
They are wasted now.
So apparently it's the local pub, and all the guys are there, and they're drinking their woes away, their marital problems away. And who shows up but Gavin? Gavin's apparently been called by the bartender because the men have been overserved and are over there drunk and what have you. So, Gavin for the night is like the male Patricia, and he's come to make sure his guys are okay.
We were sitting there thinking of a way to kill our wives and wondering if you could help us.
Okay, a little bit about this bar. It seems to be like a white bar, maybe playing black music. And this where they spend their time? I'm just saying. I guess a lot of people do, but they're in the same place now.
So they clearly live in the same place, but it's just things that don't add up to this point. That, yeah.
Is this what black men are doing? Or we're doing in 2007? Spending times at the white pub?
They're not going to like the regular bar.
Maybe they're in Atlanta. Maybe they're in a suburb of Atlanta. Maybe they're in Buckhead. Is there no black restaurants? There's possibly a restaurant, not a traditional bar. Are there no black ones?
I mean, it looks like it's maybe mixed, and maybe it's in an area where, you got mixed,
I guess,
just diversity. And
I want black
it's a
Atlanta
bar.
when we're talking about these high class people in 2007. That's it. But it kind of looked like Cheers, where everybody knows your name.
Where everybody knows your name.
I'm a divorce Diane. I'm going to call up and tell her, you know what? We're getting a divorce.
They're sitting around, and Terry is like, I'm going to divorce Diane. And he's talking about he going to send her a text, and he turns into Medea fully.
No, I ain't going to call her. I'm going to send her a text. You want to piss a woman off, send her a text like something.
If you want to piss a woman off, you send her a text.
And, he leads in with like, oh, we're just thinking of ways to kill our wives. Like, it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's just, maybe in 2007 somebody thought it was funny, but
Yeah, it's
no.
not. Your boy Mike is like, you got a good woman or whatever. From what we seen, she's not a good woman from what you're trying to show us in this movie. You ain't show us the good qualities of Diane. You showed us she worked too much. She don't spend no time with no kids. She don't spend no time with you. She go behind your back and get her tubes tied.
And
Don't
she's selfish,
communicate
according to
and
you.
Yeah, so what do you mean, good woman? Just get a divorce, get custody of the child, and have some more children. That's how I feel about what you show me.
They continue to have more conversation. And Terry reveals that, he's not planning on leaving Diane. He's just teaching her a lesson.
Bruh.
You think about that with Diane? Man, I'm going back to I'm teaching her a lesson.
And Gavin's like, well, what lesson is that? And he's like, I ain't got to be there.
And what lesson is that? That's the real lesson.
I don't have to be there. I can go.
I don't have to be there,
Wow.
So even when he's drunk, he's supposed to be like this man of wisdom, and he's showing her and all of this and that. And no.
Where's the kid during all this?
I don't
Yeah.
know. At home with the nanny? Who knows?
Yeah. I hope you didn't leave your daughter with the woman who don't even have time for her that you've expressed.
Well, he's only gone for a little bit, He's just out with the guys drinking.
That's not teaching her a lesson. I think he's been gone for a while, like out of the house.
Oh,
Because
you
he was
mean
like,
out,
I'm leaving.
totally out of the house. Yeah.
So who's the kid with? The kid is with the lawyer
The kid
who's
is with
spending
the mother,
all her
yeah.
time working on the cases.
Yeah.
So she can't be with her.
Listen, Tyler Perry couldn't think of everything.
Man, that should be number one. Where's the kid going to be in the situation where these parents break up and one guy is pretty much perfect?
So Diane and Angela have showed up at Patricia's job, and they want to know what they can do to fix their marriages. And so Patricia's just like, hey, write this list of pros and cons. And after they write the list of pros and cons, they'll know, what to do.
The one thing I can tell.
And so we see that Diane is in her car writing the list, and everything is a pro, and she doesn't really even have any cons on her list. Everything's a good thing that this guy is doing. And then, she realizes that she, wants to be with her husband, that she ought to be with him. And she's crying as this song is playing, with lyrics like, nobody but you'll do, I belong with you, kind of a song. And then we see her, just like finish writing the list and then pull off.
Bruh.
So she's done her assessment.
If he done this assessment, it'll be a whole bunch of negative. So it has to be more than just the one person doing the list.
We talked about in the discussion that we did on Angela and Marcus, kind of how whack and basic this approach was that Patricia had suggested. So we won't rehash that conversation. But if you want more on this, go ahead and watch that video.
Come in.
We see that Terry is with Pam again, and they're, wrapping some stuff up and doing whatever. And in walks Diane.
Diane, what are you
Let me just say this, please. I am wrong.
And Diane just goes right into confessing, I'm so wrong for taking you for granted.
I am so wrong for not telling you. I've just taken you for granted.
And I'll do whatever it takes.
I'll do whatever it takes, so that you can just come home.
And then Pam realizes, she's like, well, I better go. I better go.
I'm gonna go.
No.
And he's like, no.
Bruh, what? That's wrong. He's a sexual harasser. He's sexually harassing this lady who I think works for him. Because he's keeping her around so that he could talk about his sex life with his wife and then claim that he's been having sex with this lady who works for him and so that he could pull a prank on his wife. That's clear-cut case of sexual harassment. And you look trash as a doctor doing this who owns his own practice.
But it's supposed to be funny, right? So just so that we understand exactly what happened. So he's like, he brings back up when she said, in the car, like as if, and he said, well, you said it like the kid might not have been mine. And she's like, well, I was just mad. That's why I said it, like to get back at you. He's like, so we could work through anything. And then he tells her this stupid lie that Pam is pregnant with twins. And how about that?
She's pregnant with twins.
And then Diane is like, well, obviously taken off guard. And she's like, well, yeah, I guess we can work it out.
Okay, you know what? We'll work it out. We'll work it out.
And so then Terry says that he was just joking to get back at her.
Just like you said, just to get back at me. I just did that to get back at you. She's not.
And that they have never had an affair.
We have never, ever had an affair. There's nothing going on.
And then, we find out Pam is like, my boyfriend would be upset to know and blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God, you got a boyfriend.
Yes, I do.
All right.
So that technically is like a little bit too close for comfort or whatever. And so after all that happens, then you have Diane like, well, can you just come home?
Well, then can you just come home?
Please take him.
And so I'm confused. Where are y'all now? Because did you go to Pam's house to get him? Whose house is this?
Yeah.
You've been staying at Pam's house?
It's just because, Diane said, you got a boyfriend. That's how I know y'all ain't cheating. Like,
that was just dumb.
That makes zero sense and
But where has
writing.
Terry been staying?
This is terrible writing. He's been staying here with Pam.
Terry been staying
He's
at
spending a
his-
whole lot of time on his birthday. She's there bringing cake and ice cream. He's over here unpacking and stuff with her.
This is his new place, I guess. I don't know. Y'all in the comments, let us know, because this is just like very confusing.
But
what's going on?
back to the statement in the car. I didn't get that from what happened there. So I guess this explains it later on, but it should be conveyed. Maybe she should have been like, really? In the car.
Well, and the thing about it is she says, can you just come home? And Pam says, take him. Right. So it's like, that's weird because Pam was offering to leave. So then maybe it's not Pam's house that you're at. Maybe it's his new house. He's sort of unpacking. It
Who
does
knows?
look empty. I'm confused. And like,
Take him,
I feel,
she's like, take him off my hands because I'm done smashing him.
Take him off my hands because also our relationship is in fact inappropriate because I'm, quote, taking care of him while you, his wife, is not around or while he's, quote, faked leaving.
And that's something that Diane brought up where she's like, he was like, she's picking up your kids and stuff and all that other stuff. So maybe the kid was over here with Pam.
The kids stayed with Pam.
He was paying Pam to take care of his kids, didn't even have to go into work.
Shut up.
But this is sexual harassment, y'all.
Yes. But this is how, quite frankly, this doesn't even do justice to them as a couple because essentially this is the end. This is how, the raggedy way in which Tyler Perry felt it was okay to sew up their relationship.
I will love it. Sorry.
Because the only scene that happens after this is the scene where they're going to the banquet where Patricia gets the award, right? And, they're together, clearly together and happy and all of that. But they don't really have any conversations about their own marriage or relationship. So this is it here. And if you want to see that scene, check out the video with Sheriff Troy and SHEILA because we talk about it in depth on that video. But like here, so this is how you wrap up your character.
Yeah, she has to come and apologize because he's perfect. He's spending all this time with this other lady, and they can't possibly be cheating because she said something about a boyfriend.
This ending for them is getting like a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10.
I'm gonna give it like a 2 or 1.5
because it's stupid.
They didn't even have good music to pull it off. Like, and they run together and hug and kiss. It was like, oh, you got a boyfriend.
No, it's
Come
like,
on
oh,
home.
I got her pregnant. Oh, you're supposed to laugh. I just said that to get back at you. After the serious nature of all of the problems that they had. And you mean to tell me that you're just all good right here after you had that whole thing about, it's my body. It's
so
all of that stuff.
They didn't say, hey, I'm going to have kids. I won't have, I just should have told you.
I took you for it was the apology. I took you for granted. This is what Diane says. I took you for granted and I will do anything to have you back. I just think it's
Does that mean she's going to have a bunch of kids?
What he going to do?
Because when I hear that, are you going to have a bunch of kids now?
But see, in everybody else's situation, they each admitted or at least kind of.
He's not wrong. He's perfect.
Man. When it was
smashed the phone.
When it was Angela and Marcus, each of them confessed their sins, so to speak. And
did she?
She was just like, I'm sorry. She cooked for him and everything, and all of that. But here, he doesn't have anything to apologize for. He's perfect. And Diane has to be like, anything you want is what I'm going to give to keep you. Terrible message to me.
Tyler Perry, every black woman's dream.
Oh my gosh.
I get that from this rapper. But Down My Way, EBWD, every black woman's dream.
Oh my God.
Why they keep calling him Bob? Was his last name Bob or am I missing whatever they're pronouncing? If you made it this far into this breakdown of Terry and Diane's relationship, type Terry's perfect in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who stick around to the end.
Thank you so much for sticking around. You can check out all the other videos from the Why Did I Get Married playlist that's on the screen right now.